What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple new type, and in this episode, we are heading to UC-0091 as we hang out with our favorite space Amish, the Light Tribe and Moon Colony. Here, we will meet our new protagonist, Juta Kasim, who breaks the rules of the Light Tribe by using taboo technologies. Let's not waste any time, and let's get into this. On the colony of Moon, when one turns 13, they get to pass through the sacred doors. A young Juta is amongst the children that gets to pass. One of the elders tells the children that man learned to dive the deepest oceans. They learned to build civilization, and eventually they left the planet when man built islands called colonies. The elders show the kids some spacesuits, and they all suit up. He tells the kids that they live on a colony, and he lets them do a spacewalk so they could see their mother planet, Earth, for the first time. The elder, who is also Juta's grandfather, tells them that the morals of the Light Tribe exist to not allow the problems of Earth dictate their existence on Moon. He then points out to a light source. It happens to be a battle taking place. At the end of the first Neo-Zeon War, the Ayug and Karaba were reintegrated back into EFF. With Bright in command, EFF created a new elite organization to see any oversight called Londo Bell. This was designed to replace the Titans. However, the biggest problem moving forward will once again be the EFF bureaucracy and will cause so much friction. They should have existed outside of EFF, but I imagine they didn't want to create another version of the Titans. Londo Bell is currently fighting with a rogue group of Titan remnants. Barzams are firing on Amado Ray and the Rick DJ. The MSK-008R Rick DJ is an elite unit created by Londo Bell and Amado Ray. It shares the data from both the Rick Diaz and the DJ, a fusion of Ayug's and Karaba's best. Amado used to use the standard GM3, but he said that mobile suit can't handle his new type powers. It has a redesigned cockpit and a pair of binders similar to the booster binders on the Rick Diaz. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a beam Naginata or twin beam sword, the BR-M87 beam rifle, a hyper mega launcher, a clay bazooka, and a shield. From behind comes the Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-Doors. The MRX-0133 Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-Doors is a Psychomu mobile suit created by the Titans. Rather than using funnels, this unit uses Psycho plates and can form into various weapons and shield units. This is similar to Ariel's gunbits in many ways from Mercury. It is also equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, and the same beam rifle used by the Gundam Mark II. Also, where's the Psycho Gundam Mark III? Apparently, it came from a video game. The two engage in battle. The Psycho Gundam is superior, but Amado is able to get the upper hand and take out the Gundam. He is amazed that the Titan remnants could build such a powerful Gundam. The Psycho Gundam head drifts out into space. UC-0092. Sarasa feels a premonition of some kind. Meanwhile, a young girl is looking for Yuta. She looks up to find him climbing a tower. It happens to be an old antenna. Before the days of the Light Tribe, Moon was probably a regular colony. Either some kind of plague or mass extinction had to have happened to cause them to create a religion preventing the use of technology. Juta is able to turn on the antenna. Back on the ground floor, they find an old computer that is connected to the antenna. They turn it on. It happens to pick up broadcast television. They mainly watch commercials, as Juta doesn't know the fresh, delicious, charbroiled taste of a burger from McDaniel's. They then stumble onto some softcore porn and turn it off. Saki and Yuta head back into town. She doesn't like that Yuta breaks the rules and uses machines. He wants to learn more about the world. He then asks if Saki would like to know more about the world, and she goes, "Nah, I'm good." Yuta is able to sense something. Suddenly, a tremor erupts throughout the colony. Sarasa allows some of her royal guards to investigate outside of the colony. The team heads out to find the head of the Psycho Gundam Mark IV. The kids sneak into the Moon Temple to see the Gundam head that the Light Tribe has captured. One older member of the tribe remembers when they let people onto the colony 4 years ago. Of course, this is when the Argama crew fought against Kara in the colony during the first Neo-Zeon War. Juta remembers as well. The kids are caught by the elders. For breaking the rules, Juta must spend one night in jail. He looks back to the Gundam head. Sarasa talks to Renault, the guard leader, and the one who jailed Juta. So I've seen a couple translations with the name Renat, and the wiki refers to it as Renato. I thought they were going for Ronaldo at first, but I'm pretty sure they are going for the French name Renault. So that is what I'm going with, but if you think it's different, let me know in the comments. Renault informs her that there was no damage to the colony this time, but if it happens again, they may need to call in people from the outside world to help with fixes. To uphold the Light Tribe, no one can operate machines, but their existence relies heavily on machines. It may be time for them to start coexisting with other cultures. remembers. She thinks of her sister, Rosara, who was killed during the first Neo-Zeon War. In Double Zeta, we saw them take a risk and leave the colony, only for Rosara to die. Renault holds her hand and swears to protect her. Outside of the colony, a shuttle passes by. On board happens to be Minavazabi. The Atalante 3 is running away from Londo Bell. The Atalante 3 is a pirate ship disguised as a cargo ship. This has 4 escape pods and a mobile suit deck on the bottom. It is equipped with 3 twin megaparticle cannons hidden underneath the cargo crates, a 5-tube missile launcher, and an anti-aircraft beam cannon. This is the ship containing Minavazabi, Agos, Lagarto, launches, and the Virgo. The AMS 123X Virgo is a prototype mobile suit that uses state-of-the-art Psychomu technology. It uses a generator 1.5 times more powerful than the Gyaradogas and has Gundarium alloy armor. However, after seeing the superior performance of the Psycho Frame in the Jagdoga, it will eventually be replaced for the Psycho Frame. It is equipped with a beam tomahawk, a butterfly edge on each arm, a beam rifle that will be used by Sazabi, a long rifle, 6 funnels that also are used on the Kubli, and 60mm Vulcans. This unit will also get a hold of the Psycho Plates eventually. The mobile suit heads out to fight against the GM3s heading their way. We didn't talk about the GM3s during our coverage of Double Zeta, so now is a good time. The RGM-86R GM3 is EFF's mass-produced mobile suit and was a part of the GM3 plan. The performance of the GM3 is equal to, if not stronger than, the Gundam Mark II. It uses the same backpack as the Gundam Mark II, but the shape of the backpack is modified for the GM frame. Besides that, it is the exact same backpack. The GM3 also has the docking mechanism to use the G Defensor. When equipped with a rocket launcher, this unit can cover medium to long range combat with no problem. Other weapons include 60mm Vulcans, an I-Field beam saber, a large missile launcher, a beam javelin, a beam rifle, the HFW GRMR 82 90mm GM rifle, and a shield that will be used by Jagans as well. Like other GM models, this will also have several different variants. He fires the funnels, but nothing happens. This reaction from the Atalante crew is gold. You usually don't get these silly moments all too often in a Gundam manga. 2 pilots launch in the Gaz L Grau and the Gaz R Grau. The AMX 117 LG Gaz L Grau and the AMX 117 RG Gaz R Grau are enhanced space variants of the Gazes we saw in Double Zeta. The two are stronger when they work together. The Hyper Beam Sabers from the regular units are replaced with regular beam sabers. It is also equipped with the 6-tube missile pod that is either on the right shoulder or the left shoulder, depending on the unit. Other weapons include a heat lance, a beam rifle, and a shield. Another pilot launches in the RS Jarja. The AMX 104L RS Jarja is a variant of the R Jarja and focuses on sniping and high density of Minovsky particles. It has a better sensor on its head and a new radome pod on the left shoulder. It is equipped with a variable shield which includes a 3-tube missile pod, a grenade launcher, a beam saber, and a sniper-use large beam rifle. The 3 pilots make fun of Ensign Agos for not being able to get his funnels up. Suddenly, a mega particle blast comes towards them. They think it is a ship, but it is Theta Plus. The MSZ-010A1 Theta Plus is the culmination of the Theta series of Project Zeta, which included Zeta and all of its variants, including full armor Double Zeta. Remember, the codename of Double Zeta was Theta before it became Double Zeta. Similarly, the Delta Gundam evolved into the Hyakushiki. Like Double Zeta, this unit utilizes a core block system and consists of Theta Top, Theta Base, and Core Fighter Theta Plus model, which we will talk about soon. But the Core Fighter can control the other 2 pieces of the mobile suit remotely without the need for an Eno or an L. It can also transform into G-Fortress mode, which rivals the Wave Rider and has the firepower of an entire squad of mobile suits. It is equipped with Vulcans, 2 beam sabers, a beam cannon, a micro missile launcher, and a hyper mega cannon found on the Fats. Back on Moon Moon, Saki is distracted. She is bathing Sarasa and wants to know why Yuta is still in jail. It is because he has committed taboo before in the past. This isn't his first offense. Suddenly, the colony begins shaking again. This isn't good, but the Light Tribe plans on going through with the ritual of the moonset. Later that night, the people gather around the Moon Temple. Sarasa gives a speech to her people. She tells them about the shining of the light on her people. They open the colony and allow moonlight to be reflected inside. Renault heads out to the outskirts of town, which looks like an abandoned temple. He finds cloaked men who might have some type of leprosy or skin disease and asks if they could get someone to visit the colony. They tell Ronaldo that their next contact to come through the area will be in 3 months. He is better off finding his own way. Yuta, while in jail, feels the light coming into his cell. He realizes that they can contact the outside world if they fix their communication just like he did today. Sarasa's speech contrasts Yuta's thoughts in many ways. She believes that they are on their own and must find a way to solve their problems, but Yuta thinks that they could use the technology to help the people. He also notes that his friends are suffering from an illness and could probably find a cure outside of the colony. Visiting the colony of Moon Moon sounds like a biological nightmare. Better hope you have a strong immunity. The Gundam head begins glowing. The Light Tribe soldiers believe that it is cursed. Last time Moon Moon was hit by a second impact, it happened to be a few of the Psycho Gundam Mark IV's Psycho Plates. Meanwhile, in space, the Atalante 3 is getting bombarded. Zeta Plus goes into G-Fortress mode. Its speed is incredible. It continues attacking, then transforming into G-Fortress mode and flying away. Agos notices that Princess Minevazabi is watching from a window and tells the crew to get her to safety. They don't know where Theta Plus is shooting from. It locks onto Atalante 3, but Agos and the Virgil comes in with the beam tomahawk. Theta Plus moves out of the way and shoots the Atalante 3. Agos is concerned that it hit the princess, but she is okay. The Gundam comes from behind and they fight with their beam sabers. She tells him to watch his surroundings before transforming and retreating. They begin entering the debris field. Their ship has sustained damage to the engines and are currently just drifting. In front of them is a Klopp-class ship, the Raw Gills. The Klopp-class ship is a space cruiser that is essentially a mini version of the Raw Kylum-class ship. Yuta's grandfather goes to get Yuta, who is climbing on the ceiling of his jail cell. He has been in jail longer than his two friends, and his time is up. Yuta's grandfather escorts him to a ship. He shows great interest. From above is Renault, who asks Yuta if he would like to see the outside world. He decides to make him a part of the tribe warriors. Renault gives a speech to his warriors, who now include Yuta and his friends. They are about to commit a taboo act by stepping on board a spaceship, but they must reach to the outside world in order to survive. The warriors make their departure. Saki watches as they leave. She is mad at Yuta for becoming a warrior so early, but her auntie tells her that Renault must have a plan for them. Yuta and the gang do a spacewalk. They are all afraid, with the exception of Yuta. He looks out to Moon Moon and is amazed that humans can make something so grand. Inside the ship, Yuta's grandfather is mad that Renault decided to bring Yuta with them on this mission of desperation, as he puts it. Renault says that he is interested in the outside world, so why not? The grandfather notes that this was also an ideology preached during the French Revolution of the old times. A future that will one day achieve a sort of utopia. This desire goes directly against the teaching of the Light Tribe, which preaches harmony with nature. Renault mentions that Raymond, the leader of Arts, said something similar. He flashes back to the tribe of Arts, which is the disease-riddled people that we visited on the outskirts in the last episode. One thing I didn't mention last time is that the Gundam head is responding to Yuta. Raimel tells him that Yuta may be the key to synchronizing with the machines and could be the trump card that may be needed by Moon Moon in these changing times. Raimel wants to avoid repeating the same tragedy that befell Lady Rosara. Theta Plus makes its way back to the Klopp-class ship. The pilot, Saphira Gardner, wants to go back for a second sortie, but Captain Lauro says the rest of the team has taken heavy damage and they need to work as a team. He blames the damage on her since she goes off on her own and doesn't do any support. Even though she has been assigned to the newly formed Londo Bell, it doesn't mean she can ignore her duties to Raw Gills. Saphira sits on the captain's lap and says she has been a bad girl. Nice. She whispers into the captain's ear that she is looking for Char and asks if he could help her. Never fall for kawaii nonsense. It's a trap. The Atalante 3 is in the debris field around some dummy asteroids. Captain Gennaro goes to talk to Minerva, who is looking out into space. The captain is telling her everything is alright, but she says she has lived on Axis for the majority of her life and can handle the bad news that she knows he is lying about. The captain tells her that even he doesn't understand, but it seems the Atalante crew was chosen to accompany her. The engines are dead and they won't be able to be fixed unless they dock somewhere. He also tells Minerva that there may be a mole leaking information, so they have to be careful. Meanwhile, Saphira plays the waiting game as she waits out the crew in the debris. The Light Tribe is trying to get a signal out, but it is no use. Grandpa teaches the team of what Minovsky particles are and how they can ruin radar systems. Meanwhile, one of the kids asks about medicine. No one really understands it, but they know that there are people on the outside that will come and help if they reach out. While they are talking, Yuta notices a light flickering. He notes that it isn't a star and it must be a ship. One of the boys, Mauno, is assigned to do a spacewalk and send out a flare when he sees a light. He is afraid, but is forced to do it even though Yuta really wants to be the one. At that same time, Minerva escapes from Atalante 3 and does a spacewalk of her own. Mounta fires the flare gun. The Adelante crew notices the flare and they think they are made, so they jump into action. The RS Jarja and the Gazas launch and the Adelante 3 breaks through the dummy asteroids. Saphira in the Theta Plus was just waiting in the debris as well, but she also makes her move. Since none of the Light Tribe members know what medicine is, everyone is like that one meme going, "Is this a medicine?" Yuta recognizes it as a light of war. He jumps out of the shuttle to go to Mauna. He tries to pull him back to the shuttle, but the Virgil rushes past really fast, cutting Mauna's tether to the ship. He begins drifting out into space. Saphira isn't really trying to engage with the Xeon remnants, but she is annoyed and uses her beam rifle, shooting towards the ship. Captain Gennara goes to grab Minerva doing a spacewalk when the Theta Plus's beam blast skims the ship, causing Minerva to be flung out into space. As she drifts out into space, she remembers when Haman once told her that if she died, that means an end to the future revival of Xeon. She thinks in her head, maybe it is better this way. She then hears someone say, "Don't give up," but it isn't for her. She is hearing Yuta yelling out to his grandfather for letting his father die of some sickness. She follows the voice and lets it guide her to Yuta. Agos notices his Psychomu system is picking up psycho waves outside of the mobile suit, and they are very strong. Back on Moon, the Gundam head and the psycho plates stuck into the outside of the colony begin glowing. The captain still can't believe that Saphira is trying to find Char. He launches a mobile suit team to go and help her out. The two GM3s launch along with the GM3 powered. The RGM-76 RF GM3 powered is a modified version of the GM3 designed for veteran pilots. It has a new composite sensor built into its head. The name Powered comes from its buff-looking upper body. This unit is a hand-to-hand and melee combat beast. It is equipped with Vulcans, a beam shield, a beam rifle with a 2.8 megawatt output, and a shield made of titanium ceramic composite. A beam blasts through one of the dummy balloons and hits the Adelante 3. Mauna wants to go out to save Yuta, but his grandfather decides to go out with his jetpack. Mauna says that they could still hear him from that direction. He is a little bit confused by that statement. Old types. Renault wonders why the old man is going out during a battle, and they might not be able to save either of them now. Yuta can see some of Minerva's memories, but he also sees the head of the Gundam. Suddenly, a hand reaches out to him. It is the Virgo. The head is heavily damaged, and it looks like a demon to Yuta. Algos gets out thinking that he just picked up Minerva, but realizes that it is someone else. He wonders why Yuta has an archaic spacesuit. Agos gives him a beacon, thinking that he is a drifter, and tells him he will come pick him up after he finds someone. Yuta says that he may know where the girl is. Agos wonders how he knows. As Saphira is fighting, she notices his teammates coming in to help her, but she isn't happy about it. Yuta gets into the mobile suit with Agos. He tells him that she is that way. Agos says, "Yeah, this is space and your directions are meaningless." Yuta grabs the thrusters and moves the mobile suit forward. He says that Yuta has great instincts and says he must be good with a petite mobile. Agos tells him that Minerva is their future. As the two strike up a conversation, GMs come in to help Theta Plus and begin attacking the Virgo. Agos is mad that the funnels are useless. He tells Yuta that he is going to open the hatch and that he should jump out and get into contact with his team to help find the princess. He doesn't believe that he is going to survive this battle, but Yuta tells him not to give up. He grabs the thruster once again. The Gundam head on Moon begins glowing. Suddenly, with the help of Yuta, the Virgo's funnels launch. The Vargal unleashes its funnels on the GM3 powered. The Theta Plus pilot can once again feel the presence of someone else on the battlefield. Another new type. She communicates with the GM team who is complaining about having to help her, even though the GM team was never needed to begin with. She goes in to help them. Captain Gennaro tells the team that Agos went to look for Minerva, who is still drifting out into space. Meanwhile, Yuta's grandfather is still looking for Yuta when the Theta Plus flies past him. Yuta uses his new type powers to sense his grandfather is in danger and takes control of the Virgil. The RS Jarja comes to support Agos. Yuta jumps out of the mobile suit to find his grandfather passed out. He wakes up and points his trident at the mobile suit. Aw, so adorable. He thinks he could take it. Theta Plus moves in on Yuta and his grandfather when Yuta grabs the trident and throws it at Theta Plus. It happens to hit Theta Plus's transformation system and it pulls back. No. I just made a joke about how silly this looks. You can't turn around and actually make it a reality. Before going in for the attack, Saphira felt sorry for attacking another person with new type potential. She is grateful to that boy who just found the most non-violent way to end the battle, something she never would have thought of. Yuta is sad about losing the trident, but his grandfather just laughs. Agos and the Virgo comes to pick him up. Out in space, Yuta grabs Minerva and the two finally meet. He tells her that everyone is looking for her. Back on Moon, Saki runs into Sarasa, asking if the warriors are on their way back to the colony. Lady Sarasa is talking to someone and calls Saki rude for interrupting. They are returning, although it wasn't completely as planned. Renault doesn't like the setup they made with the Adelante 3 crew. They wish to dock with Moon in exchange for helping the colony with their needs. He doesn't want to allow them inside the colony and is okay with them making repairs in the docks. But this is the only way the Adelante 3 crew would agree to work with them. Bitch, you're a space Amish looking for technology you can't create. I guess beggars can be choosers. He believes the same thing that happened 4 cycles ago will happen again. Also, I love the idea of the Argama's visit to Moon and Double Zeta greatly affected the lives of the Light Tribe, but for Beecha, it was just a Tuesday. Stupid Beecha. Minerva comes in and interrupts them and says that her people will remain outside if that is what they want, but she wants to help the colony with their repairs, and she tells Renault that Zeon never forgets debts. The Adelante 3 crew are given permission to dock with Moon. They all gossip about how the colony was created during the Anno Domini time as a base of operation during the Great Colony construction. With a few exceptions, they have remained an uncontacted tribe for 100 years. Everyone is interested, but Captain Gennaro tells the crew that they need to keep contact with the people of Moon to the bare minimum. He directs this towards Agos as though subtly telling him to not get close to Yuta. Wait a minute, Captain Gennaro is a girl? Damn you androgynous manga art style. The kids are happy to return. They said it felt like it was 3 months even though it was 3 days. Yuta goes to talk to Minerva, but is blocked by Renault, who takes her to go see Sarasa. Back on the Klopp class, the GM team is complaining about the repairs. He could solve this by upgrading to a Jetta, but he doesn't want to change his mobile suit. Saphira is debriefing Captain Lara. She has Yuta's grandfather's spear. The captain says she is the first pilot to ever get harpooned. They are summoned to the bridge. There is an encrypted message for Saphira. Remember, she has been selected as a Londo Bell member and has special privileges. Within the message contains the words Moon. Back on the colony, Yuta's grandfather, Carol Kasim, shows the Adelante 3 crew the psychoplates. His name is Carol. I don't have to call him Yuta's grandfather anymore. Carol thinks that they are all just scrap pieces, but they note that these plates are all machined in a particular way and they have thrusters on them. However, one thing is interesting is that it only has thrusters, so there isn't even some kind of psychomo receiver on it. Does that insinuate that new types are full-on telekinetics and can lift anything with their minds? That opens up a lot of questions. One crew member says that Carol knows a lot about the world, more so than other Moon members. He tells her that he isn't a native Moon member. 40 years ago, he was originally a drifter who came across the colony and lived out their life with no further contact from the outside world. Minerva tells Sarasa that her crew will be able to make all the repairs that they need. Renault will tend to any needs that Minerva and her people may have. As they make their leave, Sarasa tells Saki that everything that Minerva said were not her own words. And they're not. They are the words of Haman and the Zabis that have been passed down. Captain Gennaro is making backup plans with the outside as she isn't sure that they could trust the Light Tribe. Minerva looks up to see the cattle. Mondo and Rasara activated the cattle 4 years ago during their visit in Double Zeta. Renault tells Minerva about how they were once used to help in construction. Now they are symbols that represent the powerlessness of technological civilizations. Renault says that what happened 4 years ago changed everything. So dramatic. I am pretty convinced that the Light Tribe created a holiday out of the events of Double Zeta. And I am also pretty sure that Karasun didn't remember a damn thing because she was drunk the whole time. One man's religion is another man's hangover. I think Bright said that. Jokes aside, changes were actually made when they saw the power of the Gundam Double Zeta. The priests that once remained loyal to Sarasa became an influence of their own. They were exiled back to the old temples and once again became a monarchy. So they aren't as slovenly as the manga made them out to be in the first issue. But because they need medicine and must rely on machines, their culture is now fractured, and they blame it all on the events of what happened 4 years ago. All because the cattle moved once. Back in the hangar, Agos is mad that the Vargo is being chosen to test the Gundam head on his mobile suit, even though during the previous battle, the Virgo's head was half melted. Plus, he is the only mobile suit with a Psychoma system. They note that this head is in the Titan's colors. They find it quite dreadful. The Adelante 3 team are put up in a house that happens to have electricity and running water. I guess the Light Tribe just stays away from the mansion normally? Gennaro feels a sense of nostalgia as they look off into the distance to see the Light Tribe having a festival of sorts. At this festival, Yuta is hanging out alone when Saki comes to join him. Saki recognizes that she was short-sighted in the past, but she cares for Yuta, so she will learn to love his desire to learn about machines. Yuta says she never smiles. Saki realizes that Yuta has Minerva on his mind. He isn't even listening to her. Saki gets up and runs away. The Adelante crew have dinner with the members of the Licht family, who happens to be Renault's father. Renault is joining as well as his mother. He says that the Light Tribe have maintained their ways for a century, but they aren't ignorant to the outside world, and the need for some semblance of ambassadorial representation is needed. The Licht House, along with the Suzerain House, acts as representatives for Moon Moon. In this house is a collection of art and culture of Moon Moon. Renault's father is passive-aggressively upset with his son for becoming a warrior instead of an ambassador like the rest of his family. Renault's mother takes her leave. Later, Minerva overhears Renault arguing with his mother. He apologizes to her, but Minerva says if your parents turn their backs on you, then all you have to do is make them look at you. She then walks away and doesn't look back like a boss. Renault sees a lot of the late Rosara in her. Later that night, Yuta sneaks into Minerva's room to talk to her. Back in the hangar, they finish putting the Gundam head on the Virgo. Now with the added head, the Virgo Gundam will be able to control the psycho plates. One man jokes that they should paint the unit white. August is trying to run tests with the new head, but the Psychoma system isn't working with it. Someone mentions that August's psycho waves are weak, but they remind him that he was able to do it last time. August realizes that it wasn't him that activated the Psychoma system, but rather Yuta. Yuta takes Minerva out to the place where his tribe takes all 13-year-olds out for a spacewalk. She is hesitant at first, but explains that the two had a connection. She still denies until she falls off of Moon Moon. Yuta goes to grab her when the Gundam head activates. Minerva no longer denies that they have a connection. She tells Yuta of the Great War that killed half of humanity. Ah yes, the 1-year war. Such a romantic story. Saphira is traveling in the Theta Plus core fighter. The FXA-07 GB3 core fighter Theta Plus model is similar to the Neo core fighter of Double Zeta. However, unlike Double Zeta, it doesn't have the vertical fin and has increased armor. With Double Zeta, it required 3 people to operate, but after Neo Zeon's assets were seized after the first Neo Zeon War, the Baowu's wireless guidance technology was integrated and now only requires 1 person to operate. However, long-distance communication is hindered due to Minovsky particle interference. It is equipped with Vulcans and a micro-missile launcher. She flashes back to her encrypted message with Captain Bright. She wants to know about his experience with the colony of Moon Moon. He obliges but suggests that she has a little bit of restraint. Out in space, Minerva catches Yuta up on the past 90 years of Universal Century. She says that she wishes that the world could understand the way Yuta and her understand each other. Aw, that is a touching moment. Anyways, what's happening in the hangar? Oh my god, all hell is breaking loose. The head is activating and everyone is panicking. Suddenly, the psycho plates begin moving. Minerva and Yuta return to the colony. She finds a nest of praying mantises. Manti? He says he relates to the 1 in 100 survival of the praying mantis as a metaphor for his grandfather's teachings. Perhaps war exists because there are simply too many people. All of a sudden, Neo Zeon mobile suits take off. Minerva wonders what is going on. Back at the ambassador house, Captain Gennaro holds the Lick family at gunpoint. She accuses him of kidnapping the princess. Out in the distance happens to be Saphira, scouting the colony. She is blending in by wearing traditional Light Tribe garb. She is confused as to what's going on. Yuta and Minerva run back as fast as they can before the two sides tear each other apart. Captain Gennaro and her team are still pointing guns at the Licht family, who is also pointing their adorable pointy sticks at people with guns. They suddenly hear something loud. The cattle has once again been activated by Yuta and Minerva. Minerva tells the two to stop fighting. Yuta's friends are sure that this is Yuta causing chaos. Sarasa just seems to go with it. It begins raining within the colony. Captain Gennaro meets with Minerva. She says that she was wrong, and if you must, Gennaro may hit Minerva. She hesitates for a second, probably processing the fact that if this is Minerva's first reaction, then Haman definitely beat her. But then Gennaro tells her that she is confused. She isn't Minerva's caretaker. She is simply carrying out her mission. Nor does Gennaro really care about any infighting between the Zabis or any nonsensical idealism. Her goal is simply to transport Minerva. She tells her people that they have 2 days till the repairs are made and suggests they not interact with the Light Tribe. Meanwhile, outside of the colony, a series of mysterious mobile armors are hiding behind an asteroid, planning an attack. For activating the cattle, Yuta is once again in jail. Yuta's grandfather, Carol, comes to visit him. He gives him a shawarma that was made by his mother. Carol says that his father used to love his mother's shawarma. Yeah, emotional manipulation, let's go! He tells his grandfather that he had a strong connection with Minerva, and it is kind of driving him crazy. He specifically says that he won't be able to laugh again if she can't. So Minerva's feelings of sadness for the state of Zeon is overwhelming him. It is clear he lacks focus and control over his new type powers. His grandfather tells him that this happens to everyone. Carol leaves and runs into Agos. He asks the grandfather if he knows if Yuta said anything regarding a connection. He believes he and the princess may have a new type connection. Remember, Agos is also a new type, so he could sense Minerva and Yuta while in space. Carol almost ignores this and tells Agos that his people reek of war and they need to leave ASAP. As he walks away, Agos tells Carol that an army made of spears is still an army and that they are no different than Neo-Zeon. Moon clearly isn't the utopia they are making themselves out to be. A utopia would be free of spears, but here they are still fighting. Finally, someone said it out loud. Also, last week, I thought suzerain was a family in the Light Tribe, but I learned in the past week that a suzerainty is similar to a sovereignty but gives relations to a tributary state. A vassalage provides resources to a tributary state but also allows their religious or cultural practices. At one point, an extreme faction fought against the House of Moon while under suzerainty and were chased off to the Forest of Abandoned Children. This was Arzt. Again, Carol tells Agos all this information and then says, "Don't worry about it." Rude. Meanwhile, in the Forest of Abandoned Children, Saphira is being held captive by Raymil of Arts. She tries to scare her by saying she will send out a message to her ship, but Raymil understands how Minovsky particles work and knows that this isn't true. Arts understands how to use the taboo technologies of the colony, unlike the Light Tribe. Raymil frees Saphira and shows her security monitors showing Minivazabi. She tells her that the ship will leave soon and now would be the perfect opportunity to attack. Saphira wonders what Arts gets out of all of this. Essentially, they are looking for a new revolution. The Raw Guilds is informed of the situation. Saphira was originally tasked with finding the location of Char Aznable, but having Minerva would be a game changer for EFF. For now is the time to take action. Meanwhile, the mysterious mobile armors make their move on the outside of the colony. Raymil is watching this all go down. The only player left to join the battle is Yuta. She watches him intently. Minerva meets with Sarasa. They have finished making repairs on the colony. She doesn't say it exactly, but all they had to do was reset the colony operating system. They just had to turn it on and off again, like your router. Sarasa gives some parting words to Minerva. She says that she should follow her heart. Suddenly, Sarasa is informed of something happening outside of the colony. Captain Laro of the Raw Guilds demands that Moon Colony allow them to dock and inspect the ship they have within Moon. If they don't cooperate, they will be forced to become hostile. Saphira runs back to the secret entrance into the colony. She makes her way back to her core fighter. The Raw Guilds launches the GM3 team to scout out the colony. Saphira is able to sense something. Suddenly, the GM3 is attacked. They took out Rudolph of the GM3 team. The enemy team are piloting Medusas and enter the colony. The AMA-103 Medusa is a transformable mobile armor that was developed from the Hamahama. These units are great for stealth missions. Its main weapon is the 3-wired barrel beam gun mounted on each of the mobile armor's claw limbs. These are similar to the Hamahama and are controlled using the quasi-Psychomo system. This allows old types to operate the wired beam cannons. It is also equipped with an I-field barrier generator which will function more or less like a force field and can deflect megaparticle cannons. However, it isn't effective against shell weapons. The team piloting these units are wearing a very unique spacesuit that completely covers their bodies. The RS Jar Jar launches from the Atalante 3 dock and notes that they are Medusas infiltrating the colony. They contact the bridge and inform Gennaro that she is relieved of duty of protecting the princess, and they now have control of the Atalante 3. The leader of the Slange team, Lieutenant Gat, really? Slange? He calls them idiots for not realizing that EFF are currently outside of the colony waiting for them. They tell everyone everyone to stand down while they enter the colony. Gennaro tries to inform the Slange team that this colony is different, but they don't listen. The Gym 3s follow him into the colony. Agos and Minerva try to flee, but some Light Tribe members try to take them hostage. But before they could do that, mobile suits begin attacking within the colony. Sarasa sends out a message to the people to begin evacuating. The kids wonder if Yuta is still in jail. Sarasa is able to sense evil. She is able to sense Raymel. The Aris Jarja and the Atalante 3 mobile suits come to stop the Slange team from tearing the colony apart, but they begin firing their megaparticle cannons within the colony. One Medusa blows a hole. Outside of the colony, Saphira calls for the core top and core bottom to be sent out. That is when, I guess you would call it an exit wound of the colony, blows right as Saphira was passing by, causing her mass turbulence. She gets control and scouts the disaster area. She happens to come across a young Light Tribe girl's frozen body out into space. Her body taps on the cockpit glass as Saphira reaches out to her, and it shatters. This causes Saphira to flash back to the Battle of Dublin. She looks out to the colony that just destroyed her homeland. Back on the colony, Yuta is freaking out as he is able to sense all the death happening. Both Agos and Minerva are able to sense that something is wrong. The Medusas aren't in attack formation. They are intentionally trying to destroy the colony. But why? The Slange team is looking for Minerva's signature amongst the masses. Right before they begin firing on the Light Tribe citizens, they are attacked. It is Saphira in the core fighter. She uses the core top and core bottom to transform into Theta Plus. Out of the chaos, Carol runs into Carlina, Yuta's mother. She is heading towards the temple to release Yuta. Carol says that there is nothing we could do for him at this point, but Carlina yells at him, stating that he would gladly let his grandson die, just like he allowed his son to die. Saphira uses her beam saber on the Medusa, but can't get past the eye field. Agos runs into Yuta and lets him out of the cell, but suddenly the temple is hit and the building comes tumbling down. Agos is trapped under the rubble. He tells Yuta to go and pilot the Vargal and bring it to him. He could pilot a cattle, so Agos believes in his abilities. Theta Plus loses its right arm. She is surrounded by the Medusas. Her odds are against her, but she will try her best to prevent the colony from falling apart. One of the Medusas notices a mobile suit in the distance. It is the Vargal. The mobile suit rushes towards Yuta. He can't get the mobile suit to work. He focuses his attention. The psychoplates on the outside of the colony begin moving. A Medusa comes in for the attack, but it is torn apart by the psychoplates. The Gundam begins rising. The psychoplates form around the Gundam like a crescent moon and begin glowing. Sarasa looks up and says moon, while Minerva looks up and says Gundam.
Gundam.
The Light Tribe people looking on refer to it as looking like the moonrise. Saphira gets a moment to collect herself. She notices that the head of the mobile suit is a Gundam. How did Zeon get a Gundam? Yuta feels completely connected to the mobile suit, or, as he puts it, he has become a giant. Another Medusa goes in to attack. Yuta uses the psychoplates to repel the enemy's beam attack back at them. He keeps attacking, and Yuta keeps deflecting. Agos is still trapped, but he sees Yuta fighting. He notes that at this rate, Yuta will accidentally deflect an attack and destroy the colony. He tries breaking free when Carol comes in to help him. The kids are helping citizens in the bunkers, while Remelt and Sarasa watch the fight. A beam attack heads in their direction, but Yuta saves the Moon Princess with his psychoplates. A siren begins going off in the colony. It is too late. Too much oxygen has evacuated the colony from the hull, and emergency protocols are being activated. Carol and Agos head to the disaster prevention system to activate an emergency release of concentrated oxygen. Theta Plus uses birdlime, or as we like to call it, spooge, and is able to spray its spooge all over the hole, but it isn't going to help too much. At least the hole won't grow any bigger. A Medusa attacks Saphira. She says that Minerva is inside the colony, but that motivates him to attack even harder. Yuta overhears Saphira mentioning Minerva. This motivates him to take a psychoframe and snipe the Medusa right through the cockpit, destroying it swiftly. The final Medusa has no other choice. He begins overloading his mobile armor and firing all the gun barrels at its highest output level, leaving a big hole in Moon Moon. On the outside, the Raw Gills sees a giant explosion and notes that there is a critical hole on the outside of the colony. They continue trying to re-establish communication with Moon Moon. They also try to contact Lieutenant Ubalto. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Ubalto gets out of his GM powered. He realizes that there is a giant hole in the colony. He hears someone call out for Minerva. Minerva. One of the Light Tribe members begins freaking out, but Minerva informs them that it will take a few weeks for all the air to leave the colony and fixes can be made before then. Saki gets mad at Minerva and blames her for all the current problems. The final Medusa pilot uses his beam saber on the new Gundam. He realizes that he is fighting against a total amateur. Suddenly, Saphira and Theta Plus comes in to help Yuta. She tells him not to rush like that and to utilize his psycho plates at a distance. She looks down at the hole and realizes that it can't be sealed. Agos and Carol are underground trying to maintain the oxygen levels. If the system goes below 18%, it will release emergency concentrated oxygen. But there are fires inside of the colony, so that concentrated oxygen will just spread the fire. They need to put the fires out before it drops below 18%. The Light Tribe group meets up with Renault and Sarasa. They wonder where Minerva is. Saki realizes she is no longer behind her. She and Renault goes to look for her. Saki calls out for Minerva when Lieutenant Ubalto grabs her. Saki sees that Ubalto has Minerva and he tells her to be quiet. She simply pretends like she didn't see Minerva. Savage. She reaches out to Yuta using her new type powers. While the Medusa and Theta Plus fight, the cattle comes in, piloted by Agos and Carol. They shoot off their spooge onto the Medusa. That's hot. They're going to use the cattle to seal the hole. Everyone looks out at the cattle as it begins going to work. Carol mentions during the chaos that Moon is smaller and the radiation shieldings is also thinner than newer colonies. Because of this, sickness is high in Moon than in other colonies. Carol talks of the abandonment of space noids by the Earthnoids. He mentions that space noids suffer the sins of the past from those who destroyed the Earth. We learn more about Carol's past through a flashback. He is also a member of Side 3 and a close comrade to Zeon Daikum. Unlike most, he saw Daikum's beliefs in Contolism as some way to bear the sins of the past, no different than those of the Anno Domini timeline. Taking ideology and applying it to the political realm is the problem. We also see glimpses of the destruction of Laplace and UC-0001. We will dive more into this as we get to our coverage of Unicorn. Because of this, Carol leaves the colony, not wanting to be a part of any of these ideals. In UC-0052, he is taken to the forgotten colony, Moon. There was once a war between extremists and the Light Tribe, and the descendants of Moon. The Light Tribe won that struggle. They were very much like the hippies or New Age people from the old ages. Carol is talking to Eld Moon. They want him to join the Light Tribe. The Moon family members say that they need more people from the outside that are willing to live the life of the Light Tribe. Of course, he assimilated with the tribe, settled down, and had a son, which is Yuta's father, Krito. Back in the present, Carol handles plugging the hole while Agos shoots spooge everywhere. We flash back to UC-0079. The Light Tribe receives transmissions of the Principality of Zeon declaring a war on Earth. Yuta is a very young child at this time as he visits with his father, Krito. They prepare for the moonrise. But Yuta, of course, is interested in the transmission that Carol is watching. They watch as Eld Moon brings forth the moonrise. A young Sarasa and Rosara is watching as well. In UC-0082, Eld Moon falls ill. Many people of the Light Tribe start to become ill as well. Carol mentions that they could get medicine if they go through the People of Arts, but Eld tells Carol that this is a slippery slope. If they begin working outside of their beliefs, where does it end? And we are starting to see that slippery slope play out in the present, as they are beginning to be consumed by outside influence. If he dies before supplies, then that is his fate. He was, unfortunately, met with his demise. Sometime later, Krito also fell ill. Like Eld, Carol says that they can't go against the rules of the Light Tribe for Krito. What we learn, however, is that he actually did go to try to get some help. When using communications, however, Krito comes in and destroys the radio. He tells him he understands the teachings. People delayed death for centuries, and that is how they were pushed off the planet and into colonies to begin with. He understands and accepts these teachings. It was Krito's choice. More time passes, and of course, Krito succumbs to his illness and passes away. UC-0088, Sarasa performs the moonrise with Rosara watching. This will be Rosara's last moonrise, as she will unfortunately die during the events of Double Zeta. UC-0091, Carol takes Yuta out for his first spacewalk. He promised his son, Krito, that he would instill the teachings into Yuta, as he did for him when he was younger. This is the purpose of Moon. Carol snaps out of his flashback. He sees that the Medusa is free from the spooge. Carol tells Agos to get out of here. The Medusa begins attacking. Yuta screams out for his grandfather. Carol thinks about his son. The Medusa attacks once again, destroying the cattle in the process. Everyone in the colony watches on. Suddenly, the Gundam activates. All of the psychoplates surround the Gundam and then attach to the arms, creating giant blades. Yuta is panicking after witnessing his grandfather's death. Minerva consents him and tells him to be careful with the colony. She says that he can't fully control his power. Lieutenant Ubalto is watching Minerva talk to no one. She is of course talking to Yuta, but to him, she looks just like a crazy kid. And how do we handle crazy kids? Punch them in the stomach. That's right. Give them a nice whack in the gut. Also, this is like the third or fourth time in this channel's history where we have seen the gut punch causing someone to pass out cliche. I'm going to have to start keeping track of this. The Medusa goes in for the attack, but Yuta tears through the mobile armor. Saphira tries to reach out to Yuta and help calm him down. He doesn't listen and goes in to attack the remains of the Medusa cockpit, but Saphira in Theta Plus comes in and blocks him. She tells him that it contains a core reactor, and if that goes off, the colony is destroyed. The cockpit is able to make its escape. The base of the cattle still remains, so Agos is still alive. He continues filling the hole with spooge. The Raw Gills is still monitoring the colony on the outside, and note that the overflow of oxygen has been greatly reduced. They wonder how they did that with just temporary repairs. They suddenly get a message from Lieutenant Ubalto. He informs them that he has captured Minerva and that he is returning to the ship. Zeon is concerned with the GM escaping, but Captain Gennaro tells him to let it go. Their concern should be with Yuta being able to pilot the Gundam. She thinks that perhaps they could use him to find the princess. Still unaware that she just left the colony with the GM you specifically told your men not to worry about. Sweet, sweet irony. Agos was able to eject from the cattle. Saphira wonders if those plates on the Gundam are funnels. Her load balancer is broken and she can't transform into the core fighter. She sees Yuta get out and notes that it is just a child. Yuta gets out of the Gundam and runs towards the ruins of the cattle. Agos is frustrated for allowing Carol to die. Last time, the torso of a Medusa barely made its escape. The pilot is putting out an emergency call, but he isn't getting any response. That is when he sees, off in a distance, a mobile suit sitting in the lotus position. It is the Dagdoll. The AMX 015 4S Dagdoll is a Neo-Zeon remnant mobile suit designed for new types. This mobile suit is the descendant of the Gamealg and has funnels and heavy firepower. The biggest difference is the giant dome on the mobile suit's back. It can attach to the Mono Eye to create machine head mode. It is a super AI computer that triples the Psychomu processing power. The Gamealg was intended to be a testing bed for Psychomu systems used by old types, but the Psychomu system is too complex. This mobile suit fixes this problem with machine head mode, but it is not recommended that an old type use it for more than 3 minutes. Even a new type for that matter. Other weapons include 4 Vulcan guns, a beam saber, an abdomen diffusion megaparticle cannon, a long beam rifle which doubles as a beam blade, a shield, 4 funnels, and 30 reflector bits. The pilot is Luce Prangle. Or Reuse, I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with Luce. This is what happens when you can't make the la sound. Everyone's confused. He says that the way that the Medusas tried to destroy the colony and failed at it was quite unsightly. He fires off his funnels and destroys what's left of the Medusa, killing his teammate. Back inside Moon, Carol happens to be alive, but is minutes away from death. They comfort him in his final moments. He tells Sarasa that Eld Moon kept a secret from her, a darkness. Renault knows that this is most likely related to arts. He tells Yuta to protect the princess. It seems he is connected with that young girl. He needs to go out and explore the world. He understands that Yuta is indeed a new type. Acknowledging Yuta as a new type means that he was wrong about Zeon Daikum's idealism, and he says that he wishes that he could join Yuta on his future adventures. Carol lets go of Yuta's hand and passes away. Yuta says that men don't cry, but he struggles to hold back tears. Captain Gennaro points a gun at Saphira, who tells her to read the room. She wants to know where the princess is. She has no idea. They don't believe her, but she says if she were to guess, her teammates probably found her, and if they did, they would definitely take her back to the Raw Guilds. So rather than fighting Saphira, they should be chasing the princess. The GM with Minerva touches down on the Raw Guilds. That is when Luce and the Dagdoll comes rushing in and attacking with her funnels. On Moon, Saphira, Agos, and Yuta get a new type flash. The psychoplates begin moving. Elsewhere on Moon, Arts welcomes the god of calamity. On Earth, somewhere in the Arctic or desert, I'm not sure, Nanai is with Shar Aznable. He feels strangely excited that night. On the Razaim, they get intel that they lost communication with the Ragils. They have been assigned to go investigate. Amuro also feels a weird sensation. He preps his Rick DJ. Luce touches down on the outside of Moon Moon. She gets out of her cockpit with a modified Hado. She says hello to Moon Moon. Neo-Zeon remnants piloting Gaplants and Hyzax are being attacked from afar. The Rick DJ comes rushing in, causing some damage. He holds the Gaplant down and tells him to open up the cockpit. He asks if he is working for Char. The Gaplant pilot realizes that this is Amuro Ray. He mentions the captain, so he is working with Char. He says, let's see you survive this before self-destructing himself. Amuro does indeed survive that. One Jagan pilot backing up Amuro says it most likely isn't EGUM, so it probably is Neo-Zeon. EGUM is an insurgency group that plays an important role in Gundam High Streamer. More on them later. Amuro is certain he heard the pilot say the captain. Luce is inside the colony with Salon. This is a modified Hado with devil ears. It comes from the first generation of Hados. Its eyes have been removed for a circular screen. This could be used for video calls. It also has weapons such as a stun gun and a ball-bearing gun. It can only say its name, Salon. The Adelante 3 crew are picking up all the cycle plates from the battlefield. They are quite amazed that one moment it forms into a sword and the next moment it is shaped like the moon. One says that they need to utilize this Gundam to its fullest capabilities. Another reminds her that it isn't a Gundam. It may have a Gundam head, but it is still the Vargwell. They suggest that they hurry up and get out of there as fast as possible. A lot of people just died, and these people don't really understand the difference between Zeon and EFF. A mob can incite at any minute. Renault gets into the Gundam. He is unable to make anything move. Yuta wants to show him how to do it, but he forbids him from getting into the machine. Even though it saved them, it caused the death of his grandfather. They notice that Neo-Zeon is picking up the cycle plates. Renault says that the machine is theirs, but the head and plates aren't. They could get away with the plates for now, but if they come back for the giant, prevent them from taking it. Renault remembers when Arts tells him that the kid may be able to synchronize with the machines. They may need this Gundam for themselves. Sarasa calls for Renault. One of Renault's men tries to comfort Yuta by telling him they are looking for Princess Minerva. Yuta says that she is no longer on Moon Moon. He wonders how he knows. Yuta still doesn't quite understand these new type feelings. Before dying, his grandfather called him a new type, but he still doesn't know what a new type is. In space, the Raw Gale's crew is still alive, but the ship's propulsion is wrecked. They will have to wait 3 days until backup comes. With the attack, it is only a matter of time until Neo-Zeon comes for their treasure. Perhaps they should ask the people of Moon Moon if they could use their dock. Ubaldo wants to go out and the GM Bulldog to protect the ship. Minerva is on the brig on the Raw Gills, thinking about Yuta. Renault goes to talk to Sarasa. She says, yeah, so apparently there's this darkness that no one has told me about. Would you like to enlighten me? Agos is looking for the princess, with the help of some of the Light Tribe members, including Saki. Agos asks Saki about Minerva as she was the last person to see her. They run into a downed Medusa. Saki is crippled by the action that she just encountered. Someone died by the hands of a machine, by Yuta's hands. She says that they will no longer wander in the meadows of the moon. They will always wander in darkness. The Light Tribe is extremely religious. Essentially, she experienced the greatest of sin and is definitely going to hell now. Agos tries to calm her down and tell her that that isn't true. People have to do what they have to do to survive. Last episode, Ubaldo kidnapped Minerva. Saki knew about it, but she did nothing to allow her to be saved. I'm gonna start calling it Moon Heaven and Dark Side of the Moon Hell. Agos sees two people wandering off into the forest. Saki says that it probably is the people of Arts, as they are on the edge of the forest of abandoned children. Agos wants to go talk to the people, but Saki's guilt causes her to lash out on Agos. Sarasa explains the past that she knows to Renault. Long ago, Moon Moon had two chiefs, the Light Tribe and the people of Arts. The Light Tribe rejects technology while Arts embraces it. One day, Arts tried to poison the waters, and the Light Tribe went on a war and drove them to the forest of abandoned children. Everyone knows this, including Sarasa. The Licht family are the ones who deal with trade within the colony, but Sarasa is intentionally kept in the dark. She knows nothing. She wishes to seek an audience with Raymel, the chief of Arts. She must finally face the truth for herself. Saphira is talking shit to Captain Gennaro about losing the princess. She is tired of her nonsense and chokeslams her. She demands to know where the princess is, even though Saphira tells her she has no idea. Didn't we literally just do this scene? The Zeon soldiers can't get anywhere near the Vargol since Yuta began piloting it. Gennaro thinks that this is a forgotten colony, but Saphira thinks that this place is about to be the center of attention. They need to get out of there. Renault goes to speak with his family about Saras's intention with meeting with Raymel. They find it to be an unholy act. They see it like inviting a criminal over. The Licht family should be the ones to handle these situations like it has been for centuries. She doesn't know their dealings with medicine. They wonder how she will react if she knows the truth. What is this truth? Renault's mother, Nilda Licht, heads out to the Forbidden Forest. Spying on the situation is Salon. She heads out to the Gates of Arts and demands they open up. She meets with Raymel, who happens to be her daughter. While they meet, Salon and Luce watch on. Salon records their conversation, it seems. He finds it fascinating, but he has all the information that he needs. It is time for him to find the princess. Menavazabi wakes up on the Raugils. In the hangar, Lieutenant Ubalto is preparing the GM3 powered Bulldog. The RGM-86 RF FA GM3 powered full armor Bulldog is a GM powered equipped with enhancements similar to the RX-78 Gundam and the FSWS plan of the One-Year War. Beam mass production and proliferation of beam weapons kind of made the heavy mobile armor mobile suits a thing of the past. However, once anti-beam coating became a thing, the full armor made its comeback. This took the development of the FA-78A full armor Gundam to the next level. To better protect the head sensor, an added mask is fitted to detect enemy attacks. As this uses general purpose equipment, it can be fitted with all GM3 units. However, due to it needing a skilled pilot, only a limited number was produced. This unit is commonly called Bulldog due to its appearance. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a double beam rifle, a back beam cannon, a chest missile launcher, a 12-tube shoulder missile pod, and a 6-tube leg pod. Even though he hasn't had time to do too much testing, Ubalto takes off in the Bulldog. Yuta and his friends are watching the Gundam. They note that the Light Tribe guards have been watching the giant non-stop, so he doesn't have an opportunity to take it. Yuta's friends have all been taken off of their apprenticeships. They are starting to become outcasts. Agos comes out of the forest. He wants his mobile suit back, but he is afraid that it has found a new owner. He relates it to a horse knowing its true master. He also tells Yuta that something feels off about Saki. She was also the last person to see Minerva. Yuta goes to talk to her. He tries to lighten up the mood by bringing up their childhood, but she isn't having it. She knows he is here to ask about Minerva, but she doesn't know where she is. She doubles down on her lie. Yuta wants to go find her, but Saki wants him to stay with her. She wants to know why she isn't enough for him. She will fix whatever she asks of him. She already realizes that she is going to Moon Hell, but wonders what for. Back on the Rock Hills, Ubalto tests the Bulldog, but he is testing with live ammo, and they need to be conservative with their ammunition. Minerva looks out towards the stars. Captain Laro allowed her out of her room if she finally ate something. She says that she realizes that the ship is out of commission. She says that Neo Zeon will be looking for her soon, so she suggests that they kill her, and to do it quickly because they won't even bother with hostage negotiation. Rather than responding to Minerva, Laro tells her about his daughter, who is about the same age as her. All she ever wants to talk about is boys, makeup, and pop stars. Laro understands that she comes from a family lineage and whatnot, but if she comes with him to EFF, they will take her away from the bad adults. He says that any kids who talks like her shouldn't be around those adults anymore. Laro empathizes that Minerva never really had a childhood. She essentially says that they can't change the past. Captain Gennaro holds up a keychain of a whale. It probably means something. What does it mean? Nilda Lit departs from visiting Raymel. She tells her people that she has been requested by Sarasa Moon and that she will head out in a day or two. They tell her not to, as this is taboo, but she must. Suddenly, Luce comes out of the shadows as Raymel was able to notice him. Luce says that she must be a new type if she was able to sense him. He asks about the leaves. One of her guards tries to attack Luce, but Salon uses its ball bearings as an anti-defense system. He wonders if the rest of the colony knows their true true value of what they have on their hands. It seems the people of Arts are keeping a secret on purpose. He throws up Salon, who takes out Raymel's guards. He approaches her and asks if she would like to be his friend. Saki finally breaks down and tells Yuta the truth. She tells him that she was taken off Moon Moon and that she wanted her off the colony. She left her to die. Yuta says, "You didn't leave her to die," and runs away. He watches over the Gundam. The Light Tribe continues watching over it. He tries to move the mobile suit with his mind, but a voice from behind tells him that it isn't going to work. It happens to be Luce and Salon. He tells Yuta that the Psychoma system doesn't work unless you are inside of the cockpit. He tells him that they need to get past the guards for the next step. Salon jumps into Yuta's arms. He's taken aback by a ball talking to him. Luce says that they need to go save the princess. They need to get the Vargul, although he notes that now that it has a new head, it is more of a Gundam. Luce is the first one to refer to this new unit as Moon Gundam. We still aren't breaking it down until it gets a paint job. Saphira is a prisoner on the Atalante 3. Her cell suddenly is unlocked, and a voice on the PA tells her to make her escape. She says, "Nice try, I know that trick." The voice says that they are sorry for what she went through on Dublin. This person knows of Saphira's past. She trusts the voice for now, but she says one more thing. Does this plan to capture Minerva have anything to do with Char's return? The voice says that this has nothing to do with Char. She tells Saphira to hurry. Agos heads to Saphira's cell to find that she has escaped. He calls in all hands on deck to stop and find her. The guards watching over the Gundam are distracted by boars that they see running off. This is too much meat for them to let pass by. It happens to be Yuta's friends disguised as boars. Yuta and Luce get into the Gundam. He isn't able to make it work like he did the other day. Luce says that he knows these machines because he is an apprentice in the Neo-Zeon military. He notes that it is similar to a Psychoma system, but it seems closer to the Psycho Frame. So the Psycho Frame was in development 4 years before we saw it in action in UC-0093. He suggests that Luce flies the Gundam. He tells Yuta that the machine responds to his heart and mind. He asks Yuta what he was feeling when he first piloted the mobile suit. He thinks of Minerva and the psycho plates begin moving once again. Everyone looks up at the Gundam. The guards realize they are going to be in trouble. Renault thinks that this is the doing of Neo-Zeon. He orders the Light Tribe to seize control of the Atalante 3. Raymond thinks that she may not be needed at the Light Tribe anymore. Yuta jumps towards the port side of the colony. One Neo-Zeon officer informs Captain Gennaro of the plates moving. They have seen these things in action. They have the ability to tear through the Atalante 3 no problem. They must open a hatch. They are concerned that Saphira will escape if they open it. They don't seem to have a choice if they don't want more holes in their ship. Gennaro notes that the Gundam has turned against them. Renault tells Chief Lugus to head down to the underground entrance and surround the Atalante 3 from the back. Luce mentions that the psychoplates must have psycho frame technology built into it. The Atalante 3 opens the hatches as the psychoplates make their way out. The gas pilot Olvo pilots the RS Jarja. He finds the mobile suit very heavy. Gennaro tells him not to destroy the Vargul if he doesn't have to. Agos wonders if it is Yuta who is piloting the mobile suit. Saphira gets into a normal suit and sneaks out of the ship. She looks up to see that the people of the Light Tribe are attacking. She is right in the middle of someone else's fight. The Light Tribe charges into the ship with swords and their bow and arrows and spears. Neo-Zeon can easily murder all of these people, but they don't want to kill them and have all hell break loose on this colony. They drop the niceties and start calling the people savages. They decide to close the doors and bail as fast as possible. The Gundam makes it to the hangar and is met with the RS Jarja. It begins fighting with Yuta. He doesn't know why everyone is fighting. They engage in hand-to-hand combat. While the fight is breaking out, one person notices Saphira is making her escape. He yells to take out the prisoner. Luce says that if he continues hesitating, Yuta will eventually die. He notices that Saphira is about to be shot down and acts quick. He sends a psychoplate to block Neo-Zeon's attack, saving Saphira. Luce is mad because he bumped his head while Yuta saved her. The RS Jarja goes in to attack again. Yuta is able to pin down the Zeon mobile suit and hold it at knife point. It is a beam sword, so I guess technically at beam point? It's like gunpoint, but for beams. You get it. Luce says it is about time. Yuta opens the hatch. Luce gets out and says, "Behold, it is I, Lieutenant Commander Luce Krangle." He says that Moon Gundam will give Neo Zeon unrivaled power. On the Razaim, the crew is complaining outside of the captain's office about their special crew member on board and how it is drawing attention. They are referring to Amado Ray, of course. Inside of the office, the captain is talking to Amado. He is a straight shooter with Amado and offers him a drink, but he declines and loses his mouth for a panel. Most of Londo Bell in its current state is made up of new recruits and old retired soldiers. It is designed specifically for inspecting the colonies, but if conflict were to happen, things wouldn't look so good for them. So he just straight up asks Amado, the operation to find the Raw Gills, does it have anything to do with Char? We cut away from the conversation to Amado and the crew heading to the hangar. Amado says that even Bright doesn't tell him everything going on. They make it to the hangar to see a series of Jettas, along with Amado's Rick DJ. The RGM-88X Jetta is the prototype Jagan and incorporates many of the technologies you find on the Gundam Mark II. However, due to budget cuts, only 6 of these units were made. In Moon Gundam, it is retconned that the Jetta was just one of many prototypes designed to be the proposal for the Jagan. It possesses a head-mounted radome, a more advanced head sensor, a backpack thruster layout closer to the Gundam Mark II, and additional thrusters, including a pair of large thrusters mounted on the rear skirt. It is equipped with head Vulcans, a waist hand grenade, a beam saber, a twin-arm grenade, a beam rifle, and a shield. They note that the Rakai Loom already has newer models referring to the Jagan, but they say they need a Gundam in their forces. They still haven't recovered the Zeta or the Double Zeta after the first Neo-Zeon War, and the Ragazi simply isn't the same. He tells the crew that he has been designing something new and shows them the specs of new Gundam. Back on Moon, everyone has calmed down, but the Light Tribe are freaking out, claiming they are being poisoned. One Neo-Zeon soldier tells them they're just repainting the Gundam and calls them idiots. Algos is talking about Luce. He lost almost all his men during a retreat from Core 3. They say he is no ordinary kid. Luce tells Gennaro that Yuta is going to help them find the princess. Gennaro wonders if it was Luce who ordered the Shlange team to attack in the first place. He says they must have jumped the gun. Gennaro is concerned about the informant that might be leaking data to the Londo Bell ship. Luce doesn't seem to think that they should be worrying about it. He took out their thrusters, so their ship will be down for a few days. He also informs Gennaro that Minerva is a priceless human. Of course, she has a tracking device inside of her, and they will be able to detect her once they get close to the Raw Gills. Yuta wonders why all the adults listen to Luce. He says it is because he comes from a prestigious family from the old principality. They go to the hangar to find the newly painted Moon Gundam. The AMS 123X X Moon Gundam is, for the most part, no different from the Vargal, minus the Psycho Gundam head. The backpack's funnel rack has been removed, and a subarm has been added to mount the Psycho plates. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a beam rifle, a beam tomahawk, the butterfly edge, and of course, the Psycho plates. Luce says that the Gundam is usually the culmination of state-of-the-art mobile suit tech for the time, but everyone still sees it as the legendary White Devil of the One-Year War. Luce is saying all of this to Sarasa. She says the usual, "we don't want to get involved" speech, but Luce interrupts and says that with all due respect, they are already involved. The princess was captured on Moon. The colony is about to become the center of attention by both Zeon and EFF, so rather than live in ignorance, they should fight with them. He also wants to utilize the abandoned children of the forest to help ward off EFF. Sarasa eventually goes along with all of this, with the assurance that her people will be safe. Yuta prepares to launch in Moon Gundam with Agos helping out. The people of Moon painted a One-Year War era normal suit in a similar fashion to the Light Tribe warriors. Agos is more upset that he is using a Federation suit than anything. One of the Atalante 3 crew members note that there is a honeycomb-like circuitry on board the Psycho plates, confirming that these are indeed driven by the Psycho frame. Luce preps his dag doll. Yuta officially launches in Moon Gundam for the first time. A red alert goes up on the Raw Gills. They're informed of an enemy suit approaching them. There is a lot of debris and they can't get a clear scan, but they know it is a Gundam-type mobile suit. Moon Gundam makes its approach. Yuta requests permission to come aboard pretending to be Amado Ray. Behind the Gundam Psycho plates are the Light Tribe, Neo Zeon, and Saphira, who is a prisoner. Saphira tells Captain Gennaro that using Amado's name is a bad idea, as he is a celebrity. Neo Zeon will ensure that Londo Bell isn't tipped off with the help of Saphira. Renault thinks about a conversation he had with Ray Mel of the People of Arts. He knows that she was in contact with Luce and tells her that she better not be plotting anything while he is gone. Ray Mel calls his bluff and says that if he really cared, he should tell Sarasa about his concerns and that they shouldn't involve themselves in saving a foreign princess. But it appears that Renault will have a lot to lose if this were to happen. Ray Mel realizes that he has feelings for the Moon family. She thinks it is Sarasa, but it is actually Rasara, who is currently dead. Renault draws his sword. Raymel says that Moon was always bathed in both the light and the dark, and the darkness dwells deep. It is only a matter of time until a change comes over the Light Tribe. He is reminded of the conversation he had with Minerva, where she told him that sometimes one must remove themselves from their family to find their own path. Ramel says that Moon Gundam has brought forth new changes. Luce is hiding out in the debris with his dag doll. He refers to the Light Tribe people as monkeys and wonders if they could be of use to them. The Rockgill's crew assumes it is Amado because it is a Gundam type. They allow it to dock. Many of the deck crew head out to prepare for the Gundam. They are excited as Amado is a celebrity, but that is when the Bulldog begins moving. Ubaldo can sense an enemy and decides to launch, even though he hasn't been given launch orders. As he launches, he is frustrated that the crew is using Zeon slang, referring to new types. He doesn't think that people can evolve so easily. As he launches, he notices the Gundam glowing. The Gundam psychoplates break apart, and the Light Tribe and Zeon surf on the psychoplates. The Roggill's crew refers to the plates as heat sinks. Agos tells Yuta to stop glowing, but he doesn't know how to control it. Ubaldo stops the Gundam. He says that this unit shares the same signatures as the Neo-Zeon suit that they fought against the other day. He demands that the Gundam pilot open their cockpit for inspection. Agos tells them that they have been made, so he needs to shoot, but Yuta doesn't want to and says that it is cowardly. Agos takes control and fires the beam rifle, but it misses Ubaldo's Bulldog. The two engage in battle. Saphir suggests that they give up as Gennaro drags her along as they surf the psychoplates. Luce engages as well. Gennaro's team jumps off the psychoplates and floats towards the Roggills. This allows Yuta to use the plates. Ubaldo thinks that the psychoplates are funnels. Yuta can sense that Ubaldo is mad. He hates Zeon. It seems he is taking out his anger for new types on Yuta. Ubaldo fires a wired net trapping some of the psychoplates. Yuta is having a new type headgasm and is struggling. Agos tells him to get a hold of himself. Ubaldo notices that the mobile suit is starting to become sluggish. Ubaldo is backing the Gundam into a corner. Wait, how do you back someone into a corner in space? All the while, Gennaro's team sneaks on board. They find a vent and break in. The battle continues on. The Bulldog does some damage to the Gundam. Agos switches places with him. During this fight, Ubaldo is yelling about his hatred for new types. Yuta is able to sense this and tries to reason with the thoughts in his head. He says he isn't the monster he thinks he is. He says that he has the wrong guy, but Agos tells him to get a hold of himself and to recognize that he is using a weapon during wartime. The enemy doesn't care about your reason. They are ordered to kill. He doesn't want to kill. He just wants to save Minerva. The Bulldog goes in for an attack, but Yuta uses the butterfly edge to cut through the spider webs. The psychoplates are free. Yuta now has the upper hand. He uses the psychoplates to tear through the Bulldog. Ubaldo flashes back to a time when he was able to meet with his grandmother on one of the colonies. She is from Earth and was able to visit. Later, after Zeon dropped a colony on Australia, he was never able to contact his grandmother ever again. He has no idea what happened to her. We cut to Ubaldo fighting at the Battle of Solomon as a ball pilot. His feelings towards new types began with the Space Noids thinking that they were the chosen one. Later, Ubaldo has feelings for a compatriot, but they are attacked by the Elmith. She is killed along with the Magellan, but Ubaldo survives as he drifts out into space. He says there is no such thing as new or old types. Everyone is simply living their lives to the fullest. These memories are flashing through Ubaldo's mind as his mobile suit is heavily damaged. Yuta is able to sense these feelings as well. Agos tells him they have to move quick. That is when Luce approaches. He says that Agos is right. They have to hurry and they must kill this man quickly. Agos tells Luce that he is taking over for Yuta, but Luce says that he isn't wanted here and calls him an imitation. Yeah, shut up, Agos. Luce tells Yuta that he has fought in several times in the Gundam now. Like it or not, he is now a part of this bloodshed. He is a part of the chain of hatred and that there is no going back. He tells him to put an end to the Federation pilot, but Yuta refuses and turns on Luce. He is disappointed in Yuta and says that he will regret this. Luce takes off. Meanwhile, Gennaro's team have breached the ship and begins their attack. EFF soldiers begin dying by arrows and spears. That sucks. On the bridge, Captain Lauro is informed of the breach. They will have to manually close the bulkhead in each sector and shut down the elevator. One EFF soldier closed the hangar bulkheads. Ubalto is on his own. Renault and her team surround her and demand to know where Princess Minerva is. They make it to the bridge, but no one is there. Lauro and his team go to grab Minerva and flee. Lauro commands Ensign Mari to protect Minerva and hide in the storage room while he goes off to fight. Zeon and the Light Tribe has captured the majority of the crew, but the captain is still holding out with Minerva. Renault can't handle 0Gs and begins throwing up. He says that this battle wasn't honorable. Gennaro tells him to deal with it and hands him a gun. Moon Gundam touches down on the Raugils. They haven't got a response from anyone inside yet. Yuta sees a dead EFF soldier floating in space and begins to panic. Agos gets out of the cockpit to look around, but as he gets out, he is almost hit with gunshots. Lando Bell begins attacking. He gets back into the cockpit and realizes that it is just one woman. Gennaro talks on the PA, informing the captain that they want Minervazabi and that they will have to exchange Saphira for her. But the captain swiftly responds by saying that they don't negotiate and Saphira knows this. He says fine, then how about they exchange Minerva for the entire crew of the ship? If they don't hand her over, they will use G3 plus gas on the entire crew. During the Grips conflict, we saw the Titans use G3 gas on the colonies. This was a nerve agent that killed people swiftly. G3 plus has corrosive properties that eats through normal suits and paralyzes all organs on contact, suffocating and killing you even quicker. Side note, but how does something eat through a normal suit but not the flesh of a human? I'll just ignore that. Lauro thinks that Gennaro is bluffing, but she says that she is willing to kill Minerva to prevent her from getting into the hands of EFF. Yuta tells Agos he has to be bluffing. He wasn't informed of using it, but it certainly does exist. They have access to it. Since this crew carries a Zabi family member, their motto is, live without the shame of being taken captive, and they are taking that motto seriously. Ensign Mari, who is watching over Minerva, overhears the use of gas, and Minerva stoically says, live without the shame of being taken captive. Mari shakes Minerva and says, you're a child, why are you acting like this? You're so creepy. She tries to appeal to her humanity, but that is when Salon comes in and tases Mari. Salon is with Luz, who is there to take her back to Zeon. As the random EFF soldier fires on Moon Gundam, Yuta jumps out and heads towards the ship. Ubalto's dog is on the deck and he is most likely bleeding out. Luz tells Minerva that they should have met earlier, but she took a detour. He could sense that she thought that it would be Shar who came for her. Gennaro gives Lauro 10 minutes to hand over Minerva. She says that she is being theatrical, but Renault finds her tactics to be cruel. That is when Yuta comes rushing in, demanding to know if Gennaro is serious about the gas. Renault holds him back and tells him that he is acting like a child and that this is simply a part of war. Yuta grabs Renault and tells him that this isn't their war. Luz tells Minerva that he was also born to inherit Zeon, but he says not like the Toto family, referring to Glimmy. Remember, Haman treated the first Neo-Zeon war more like the Crusades, where her knights were on a mission to spread the ideals of space noids and new types. He isn't into that, but he says that he needs better branding, and Minerva can help with that. She gives him a stoic stare. Luz says that it seems someone got to her first. Suddenly, the alarms go off again. The Raugils gets a message. It is the commander of the Razaim, Amado Ray. He is in his rig DJ and has 2 Jettas with him. Amado keeps hailing the Raugils, but Gennaro says that she will release the gas if they respond. They have 5 minutes until Gennaro releases the gas. Yuta has 5 minutes to save Minerva. He has to get back into the Gundam. Agos protests to allowing Yuta to go fight against Amado, but his comrade Oval grabs his shoulder and gives him a look that says, now's not the time, bro. Gennaro asks Yuta again, what is he willing to fight for? Many of their men are ready to give their lives for Zeon's cause. What is Yuta willing to die for? Is he willing to protect the princess? That is when Luz pops out and makes his presence known on the Raugil's PA system. He agrees with Agos. He has to go out there and do what he did last time, pose as an EFF soldier and try to kill Amado Ray. Salon is doing his best R2-D2 impression and hacking into the ship. This is Yuta's real test to see if he will be a true warrior. He tells him that Amado is the first new type, so it isn't an even fight. Renault buds in and reminds Yuta that he is still a member of the Light Tribe, and there is truth to fighting genuinely. Luz cuts him off. He doesn't have time to play with their make-believe ideals. But Minerva comes rushing in and does a floating tackle towards Luz. He grabs the comms and tells Yuta he doesn't have to fight. They realize that Luz has the princess, so why not get out of here? Luz says the ship is sealed off. The only way is for Yuta to take them on. After this statement was made, we will see that the ship was indeed not sealed off. Saphira suggests that they give it up. This Luce guy clearly doesn't care about you or your men, she says. Yuta thinks that Luce is using Gennaro and her men, so why follow those orders? She says that sometimes in the military, you have to follow orders. But it is important in those moments to remember why you do this. There are things more valuable in life. They all touch their Neo-Zeon seal. They are all fighting for something bigger than themselves. Yuta thinks about his grandfather, about helping Minerva. He screams out, "I will do this my own way," and he runs out. He gets into the Gundam and transfers comms to Luce. Luce contacts the Razaim crew and informs them that they have an issue with their Minovsky particle dispersion system. Comms aren't working, along with their laser-guided systems. He says to use the Gundam as a guide to enter the hangar. Amado notices Moon Gundam and wonders what Bright is keeping from him. He thinks that Bright lied to him about there being a Gundam to use. As Amado approaches the hangar, Yuta tells him his name and proceeds firing. The two engage in battle. Yuta unleashes his psychoplates and deflects Amado's beam attacks. Amado realizes this is just like the Gundam when fighting against the Titan remnants. Salon knocked out Minerva. Luce whispers to her that her knight is going to die. As they watch the battle, Gennaro realizes that both Agos and Renault are gone. Somewhere else in the ship, Renault points a gun at Agos. He thinks he is abandoning his post, but he is trying to find a way to get rid of the gas canisters. Renault uses the sword to wedge open the door, and the two go into action. Back on the battlefield, Yuta makes a sweet shuriken form with his psychoplates. Yuta realizes that Amado is relentless. Amado notes that the Gundam pilot is terrible with the rifle, but his movements with the psychoplates is something he didn't see last time he fought with this unit. Amado's two men in the Jeddas note that Amado is fighting. They notice Morse code from the Razaim crew. It is Captain Lauro. The Jeddas come around to the bow of the ship. Neo-Zeon realizes that they have a leak sending a message. Luce prepares to make his exit. Moonlight reflects on the Moon Gundam, and he gets a second wind. He charges in and begins melee fighting. He tries to communicate with Amado, and he tells him that they have to keep fighting or the ship will be destroyed. The psychoplates spin around the two units. Amado is able to understand Yuta. He realizes that G3 is in play. Even Luce is able to sense Yuta. Luce finally understands the true purpose of the psychoplates. They are resonating amplification devices. You could send the plates all over the battlefield to use your new type powers to communicate with everyone. This allows you to truly let everyone's emotions stay in sync. This was a curveball for Luce. He decides to play the role of the bad guy and unleashes gas. Outside of the ship, Renault and Agos realize it is too late. A 5-minute countdown begins. Agos informs Gennaro of the timer. They prepare to get everyone off. Saphira knows there isn't enough time. That is when Luce comes back on the comms and tells everyone that he thanks them for their sacrifice they are about to make. He sigs at Zeon and hangs up. There really isn't anything Agos could do in the next 4 minutes that is left. The only solution is that Luce has a release mechanism on him. He realizes that Renault just bailed. He laughs it off and says that's natural. He hopes Yuta makes it out safe. He seems to kind of resign himself to death in this moment. Defeated, Gennaro releases Saphira and gives her a gun, thinking it is useless. But she says that she could do whatever she wants, not that she's going to live. Saphira says okay and holds a gun to Gennaro's face. She informs the Rawgill's crew to abandon ship. She contacts Yuta and informs him about the G3 gas situation. As Luce makes his leave with Minerva, he happens to run into Renault. He teases him about leaving his post and talks about how the Licht family hides so much from Sarasa, who lives in a paradise. What happens when the Moon Princess learns the truth? Salon comes in for the attack, but Renault blocks it with the sword. Salon does the Hato equivalent of the skull emoji. He yells he is a protector of Moon Moon. He will be taking any deactivation switch and Minerva with him. The Dagdal's Mono Eye activates. Luce says that he has backup. He reveals that Renault is also Raymel. A plume of energy erupts between the two. Luce fired a funnel next to Renault, blowing a hole in the Rawgills. Renault uses his sword to get his grip. He sees Minerva falling and tries to reach for her, but the Dagdal gets to her first. Luce gets into the Dagdal and tells Renault to bow to their new king of Moon Moon as he takes off with Minerva. 2 minutes and 28 seconds remain. The Jeddah pilots confirm that there is G3 gas on the ship. Saphira tells Yuta that he must use the beam rifle to snipe the canisters off. Amado is starting to understand the situation. He tells Yuta to follow him. Gennaro asks why isn't Saphira running? She believes in the power of the new types. Gennaro has come across many new types and cyber new types, and she knows that they aren't miracle workers. Saphira wants to believe in the miracle that new types can perform. Amado says that the Gundam can emit a chi, or ki, or energy, whatever word you want to use, and that you can sense it. Yuta is able to sense Amado, his past, his pain, his enemies. He senses the first new type. He sends a few psychoplates to orbit around Amado's Rick DJ. Agos gets in contact with Gennaro. She tells him to get out. She tells everyone to get out. No one is an enemy at this moment. Survival is all that matters. Those who survive will essentially have to swim back to Moon Moon in a normal suit and hope for the best. Agos doesn't want to leave the captain, but this is what the captain must do. She says to meet up with Oval and the rest, but Oval and the rest are behind her. Oval takes the comms and tells Agos to get out of here and cuts communication. Neo Zeon plans on going down with their mom. Saphira scoffs at them for not trying to save themselves. Oval tells her she is wrong. He says everyone has their own way of making sense of things, and it's best that you stay out of it. There is a huge bond between Neo Zeon and the captain, something that probably can't be put into words, but it is none of Saphira's business. And according to the writer of this manga, it isn't our business either. Let it go and get the hell out of here, Oval says. Yuta uses his plates to amplify Amado's senses. There are 3 canisters. He focuses and fires one of the gas canisters. It is a direct hit. 47 seconds left. Amado fires again. Another direct hit. Amado takes aim for the final one, but an attack comes out of nowhere. Yuta uses his psychoplates to protect the Rick DJ. It is loose in the Dagdoll. He plans on killing Yuta for ruining his plans. He unleashes his funnels. Renault loses his grip and begins drifting from the ship. Agos lassos him to safety. Amado tells Yuta to calm down and to focus on the gas first. The Jettas go to handle Loose while they save the ship. The Dagdoll uses the funnels and attacks both of the Jettas. 10 seconds left. Yuta and Amado focus. He shoots down the final gas canister. Loose shoots at Amado and gets a direct hit. Ubaldo, who is badly injured and still just hanging out on the deck, can sense the boy. Yuta and Loose engage in battle. Some of the Light Tribe members escape from the ship, not realizing that the gas has been eliminated. Captain Laro and his crew retake the bridge of the Raw Gills to find only Saphira. She says that they left the message. Sorry about that. Everyone assumes their role on the bridge. As Yuta and Loose fight, the Jettas are still alive and come in to support. Loose finds it amazing that new types can actually be created on Moon Moon. He tells Yuta that he is a clone. They are also battling like crazy with Minerva in his hand. She's going to have whiplash. Amado comes in to help. The Dagdoll uses an evolved version of the Adzam's net and shocks the 2 mobile suits. Everyone sticks close to not allow the funnels to get in between them. Amado gets a new type flash. He tells Yuta to duck. The Dagdoll takes a direct hit from behind. It came from the Raw Gills. It was Ubaldo's bulldog. He goes to attack Ubaldo, but Amado slices the Dagdoll's arm. Minerva goes flying, but Yuta chases her. Amado tells Loose that new types are not tools for war. He says that he will never be able to take down Char before making his retreat. Loose contacts someone named Ilya and says that playtime is over and to move forward with another plan. Yuta gets out of the Gundam and grabs Minerva. He introduces himself again, but suddenly they hear a noise. In space? Never mind. It is a Guasha-class ship. The Guasha-class ship is Luce Krangle's flagship and base of operations for the Krangle faction and the Schlange team. It was constructed by Axis Shipyards and financed by the Krangle family. This ship is 600 meters in length and has the same design concepts as the Guazin and the Guadon. It is equipped with many megaparticle cannons, 2 medium, 2 large, and 2 super large cannons. It also has 2 machine guns. The Ko-Guasha is a small shuttle, like the Komsai, capable of carrying 2 mobile suit squads. This ship was said to be a part of the battle between Glimmy and Haman during the rebellion. The Guasha approaches the Raw Gills. One thing I did forget to mention last video is that Amado was actually piloting the modified Rick DJ. The MSK-008R modified Rick DJ is a remodeled version after it took a lot of damage. This is a modified version and not a repair because the original parts were a one-off due to the parts being expensive. Because of this, the modified version is repaired using Jetta parts. Amado used this opportunity to give his mobile suit more Gundam-like colors. Reaction time was improved by 15% on this version. It uses a Gem 3 shield because Amado to this day still likes throwing his shield at enemies, just like he did with Grandpa. And the Gem 3 shield is the evolution of the RX-78-2 shield. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a beam saber, the beam Naginata, the BRM-87 beam rifle, Zeta's Hyper Mega Launcher, and a clay bazooka. This version also retains its backbinders. Captain Gennaro and her men bailed out into space, left to swim back to Moon Moon. They noticed the Guasha approaching. They are going to fire a barrage on the Raw Gills, and they are floating right in their path. They need to move. The Raw Gills crew notices this too, and they realize they need to move, but their thrusters are dead in the water. That is when Amado and the Jettas push the Raw Gills. Amado is in training. He has to work up to pushing an asteroid asteroid in a few years. Amado sent the base jabber back to the Razaim with an SOS message. Yuta picks up Minerva and he notes that he needs to go help the Raw Gills. Minerva reminds him that the mobile suits don't have infinite power and he is running low, but he has to help. Minerva decides to go with him. Captain Laro tells Amado and the Jettas to move as he gives up hope. The Guasha fires. Moon rushes towards the Raw Gills. Yuta speaks to Sarasa Moon, who tells him he has a long path ahead of him. But where he goes, the moonlight will be with him. He uses the psychoplates and spins them in a circle very fast. This seems to dissipate the beam cannon blast somehow. It creates a rainbow in space. Yuta begins pushing the Raw Gills with Amado. The ship gets out of range. Luz is impressed with Yuta's skills. He launches his mobile suit team. One member of his team is Ilia Pauzon. She was a part of Mashimer's team in Double Zeta as the Regelgoog pilot. Char also brought her to Axis as a young girl in Char's deleted affair. She is piloting the Zaku 4 S-Type. The Zaku 4 S-Type, Ilia Pauzon use, with the Princess unit, is a variant of the Zaku 4, which we will break down later. It inherits concepts from the Zaku 1, 2, and 3. This opted for heavy armor and can be outfitted with various tail options. This unit is equipped with the Princess unit, which is attached to the skirt. This allows the mobile suit to use funnels, which it also stores. These are the same that will be used on the Yagdoga. Other weapons include a head beam cannon, a shield which stores 5 E-packs, 2 beam machine guns, beam knuckle dusters, a large heat hawk, and a long-range beam rifle. Behind her is the Gigatzam. Zam? Why is there a D in there? The Japanese name for this is Gigazamu. Why didn't they call the English version the Gigazam? Screw it, we're calling it the Gigazam. The AMA X9 Gigazam is a large new type mobile armor with the best of 3 worlds: the high speed of the Bigro, the large artillery of the Big Zam, and the all-range attack form of the Jiang. 3 people are needed to pilot this machine. Equipped is a head megaparticle cannon, an omnidirectional beam cannon, a high mega cannon, a quadruple missile launcher, wired claws, and bits. It also has an eye field barrier and a lot of propellant to lug this giant, which stands at 47.3 meters tall. The Gigazam is piloted by the 3D team. They were the Jimru fan pilots seen in Double Zeta. Since this is a new type machine, we can assume that the 3D team have become cyber new types through enhancements. Also, I don't recall Danny losing an eye during the events of Double Zeta, so this happened off camera. Or is it enhancements? Cyborg Guy. The Kringle team begins their attack. Back on Moon, the Light Tribe is putting the Mormons to shame as they build a barn with the quickness. Saki seeks guidance from Sarasa. She realizes Yuta isn't coming back. She was able to sense it, just like Sarasa. She grabs Saki's hand and tells her how she felt lost without her sister, Rasara. Her father told them that they have powers, but they do not. What they have, everyone has deep down inside them. She doesn't say it out loud, but essentially she is saying that new types are empaths that are able to feel others' feelings. But it doesn't require one to be a new type to feel empathy. We all have the ability to feel it. The Licht family are discussing operations. Grass harvesting is in effect with medicine. Renault's father doesn't like dealing with the people of arts, but he must do business while Renault is gone. The Kringle team enters Moon. The Gigazam lands near the recently patched colony hole. Ilia touches down with her team of Zaku 4s. The AMX 116 Zaku 4 is the direct successor to the AMX 11 Zaku 3. The Zaku 4 features superior overall performance specifications and heavier armor compared to the Zaku 3, and it can be modified with different equipment loadouts, including various tail or skirt attachments, to quickly and easily specialize for different combat situations. Although not a mass-produced mobile suit, it uses many mass-produced parts to keep overall costs down. It is equipped with a head beam cannon, a shield, a sniper beam rifle, 2 beam machine guns, beam knuckle dusters, a large heat hawk, and a double beam saber. Luz in the Dagdoll is in the Lotus position on top of a Gaza G. The AMX-20 Gaza G is built off of the Gaza C and the original line of Gazas designed off of the old Axis mobile workers. It is a transformable mobile suit that can be used as a subflight system when in mobile armor mode. It is equipped with double head Vulcans for mobile armor mode, 2 9-tube missile pods, 2 beam sabers, and knuckle busters. In Lhasa, Chairman Luo is talking to Ronan Marquinhos. Luo and co. assisted EFF with the transition of their headquarters to Lhasa. He also informs Marquinhos of the situation regarding Moon Moon. This colony has remained hidden for years. Chairman Luo suggests that he is hiding colonies along with hiding boxes, referring to Laplace's box. He says that time is not on their side and hangs up. Ronan's son-in-law, Patrick, comes in asking about Moon Moon. Ronan says that sometimes not knowing is bliss. He looks at a picture of his son, Rita. The Razaim and a Columbus-class ship comes to bring reinforcements to the Raw Gills. Yuta is amazed that there are more ships. He is informed that they are getting ready to head to Earth. In the hangar, Amado asks Saphira why they are heading to Earth. Londo Bell wants to take Minerva directly to EFF HQ. However, Amado and the Razaim won't be joining them as they have to continue their hunt for Shar. The Raw Gills is badly damaged, but EFF won't provide any more resources on this escort mission. They really do suck. Saphira notices a new Gundam. Amado is calling it the Ragazi. Amado says that this model isn't the one that EFF decided to mass produce. It was too expensive and it was slimmed down into what we know as the Ragazi. However, Amado was able to get one version of his ideal Ragazi built. Saphira refers to it as the Ragazid. The RGZ-91X Ragazid is Amado's ideal design for the Ragazi that was rejected by EFF. However, this is more or less Ragazi. It is equipped with 60mm Vulcans, a 90mm chest Gatling gun, twin grenade launchers, a triple grenade launcher, and a beam saber. It also uses the beam smart gun and the hyper mega cannon from the Theta Plus. It has wave shooter mode, which is like wave rider mode, and a dummy launcher. He decides to give the Ragazid to Saphira. She reminds him that she isn't a full-time pilot. She still does intelligence and it would be wasted on her. But Amado is insistent. He could tell that she wants to go back to Moon Moon. Amado suggests that they stay out of it for now and focus on getting Minerva to Earth. She should help Yuta get used to this new life. Saphira says thanks for the Ragazid. Now how about you Ragazid all over me? Wink wink. Amado stoically says that he doesn't intend to lay hands on someone who's already with someone else. He could tell by her jawline. Wait, jawline? What about her jawline gives away that she's in love? Saphira is embarrassed and runs away. Jawline? In the brig, Captain Laro is explaining the devastation of the colony drop on Dublin. He explains how Neo Zeon slowed down the colony so it wouldn't break up as a monument to their atrocities. Even though this was Haman Khan, Minerva bears responsibility as she so seems to want. Laro says that she could also be lifted of these burdens and just be a kid if she talks to him. Of course, Minerva is stoic and refuses to cooperate. Laro says that once they hand her over to HQ, she will most likely be interrogated with cruel and unusual punishment, so it's best that she open up so he could help her. Yuta is speeding through the Raw Gills, not using the handrails. He crashes into one soldier and asks the captain if he could see Minerva. He will only give him 5 minutes. He says, "Thanks, Mr. Captain." Laro says you don't have to add Mr. when saying Captain. Minerva tells Yuta that she wants to help Moon Moon and tells Captain Laro everything, but she doesn't want to put anyone at risk. She also can't fall into the hands of Luce. On Moon Moon, Neo Zeon is gathering tribes and getting a head count of all the people. Raymel and the people of Arts head to the Light Tribe territory. As Ilya is outside scouting the colony, Algos and Renault in the RS Jarja attacks the Gaza G pilot. Oval is in the Gaz El Grau. They think it is allies at first, but Agos is able to capture the mobile suit and force the pilot to bail. Renault gets into the new Gaza G and pilots a mobile suit for the first time. Luce speaks to Sarasa. He drops all the formalities and says that he is taking over the colony. They could act as if they always did, but all operations will be under Neo Zeon's hands. He says this is how Moon Moon always functions, referring to Raymel. The people of Arts make their appearance. Sarasa blames herself for living in ignorance. Raymel tells her that this place is small. Certainly she must have realized that there is no way they could survive without some form of trade. Renault makes it into the colony and attacks a Medusa. Following Oval is 3 Light Tribe members in Gaza Gs. Renault gets out of the Gaza G and tells the people of the Light Tribe to take up arms. Gennaro is on the bridge of the Adelante 3 watching. She notes that last time they attacked, they blew holes in the colony, but this time they aren't. Luce must be on the colony. Agos comes bursting in, holding Luce at gunpoint. Not regular gunpoint, mobile suit gunpoint. He tells Sarasa to get on board. She takes one caretaker with her. Saki goes with her. Agos tells Renault and Oval to meet at the rendezvous point, but they are met with Ilya in the Zaku 4. She notes that the Grau is from the Royal Guard. Oval tells her to stand down and that they have hostages, but she doesn't comply. As some Light Tribe people make their escape, the Zaku 4 crashes down and almost attacks the tribesmen, but Luce tells Ilya to stand down. She says that you will rue the day that you messed with Luce. When did Ilya become so committed to her leaders like this? Even when Mashimura was a commander, she was always like, what's up with this dude with the rose? Luce tells Raymel that Yuta isn't the only chosen one from Moon Moon and suggests that Renault may be a new type as well. Meanwhile, Yuta is running training exercises with Amado. Amado and the Ra Zaim team continue running exercises with the Ra Gills team. Yuta is distracted, and Amado doesn't feel comfortable leaving Yuta with the Ra Gills in this state. He has to be better. Amado tells him that he is relying too much on the cycle plates and not engaging the enemy properly. He is starting to lose it a little. Specifically, he says he hasn't smelled grass or touched the earth in some time. It is getting the best of him. Some of you guys could relate, right? Something, touch grass? I'm getting lazy. Captain Lauro meets with Captain Saphira and Captain Macias. Macias? He is the captain of the Ra Zaim. They want to make Yuta a warrant officer and throw him into the system. They also talk about how EFF is ordering the Ra Gills to escort Minerva back to Earth alone with no support. They don't like it. Saphira shows Lauro the data that she recently found out. She shows him a picture of the Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-doors. Mari goes to the hangar where many are cleaning the blood of their dead comrades. The techs inform her that Amado is pushing Yuta, but he is still not in the best of moods. They want Mari to help cheer him up, but after the recent attack, she thinks of him as a savage. Saphira tells the captain about the Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-doors and about the attack that happened 1 year ago. After the attack from the Titan remnants, they never did find the head or the psycho plates during their post-battle investigation. She says they drifted out into space for a year until they hit Moon Moon. Saphira found this information by digging through EFF databases. She says that someone wanted to hide this incident. When it comes to Zeon and Space Noids, it isn't a stretch for someone to have sympathy for independence in space. People have no issues publicly supporting the cause, even if it's financial support. But when it comes to the Titans, that is an entirely different story. If you are a Titan sympathizer, you aren't going around public claiming to financially back fascism. You don't go around like an idiot with a tiki torch showing your face. You work in the shadows, and someone in EFF is working in the shadows to downplay this incident. Saphira's working theory is that someone from the recently shuttered New Type Labs was desperate, and someone came to them to build something in silence. They took the opportunity. Perhaps that same person that helped finance this new Gundam sent it on its way to do its thing for the Titan remnants. All the while, the same person tips off Londo Bell about the Titan remnants. After Amado's battle, they found out that all data from the unit has been scrubbed. Someone has this battle data somewhere. The only information they have on this person is the name Enkidu, specifically the phrase, "We've been had by Enkidu. They used us." Captain Macias thinks that it is a reference to the mythical being from Gilgamesh. Now that we know that the Psycho Plates have honeycomb microchips on them, aka Psycho Frames, along with knowing where many New Type Lab scientists ends up, we could see that Enkidnu is an anagram for Daikun. We cut to an unknown location where Cassivel Daikun, the financer, and Nanai, the former New Type Lab scientist, are looking up at the prototype Sazabi. We will break down this unit soon. Amado goes to talk to Sad Boy Yuta. He is experiencing survivorship guilt and imposter syndrome all in one. One thing he does know is that he wants to help Minerva in any way possible. Amado tells him that he has to follow his heart. If that means taking Minerva back to Neo Zeon, then that is what he needs to do. But Amado reminds him that if he makes that choice, they will be enemies. Amado says in times of war, we tend to want to bear the burdens of others' pain. But in doing so, we blind ourselves from our own pains. It leads you to fight until one day you break. Later, the Ra Gills team and the Ra Zaim team say their goodbyes and part ways. The Guasha docks with Moon Moon. Luce wants Captain Gennaro to head to Earth and pursue Minerva Zabi. She thinks that they should focus on repairs to Atalante 3 first. But Luce turns a desire into a direct order and threatens to harm her family, referring to the crew as they call her Mum. A couple of Neo Zeon soldiers enter into the ruins of Moon Moon after the defecting Light Tribe members. They enter and realize that it is reinforced plastic skeptic and stumble across a sign that says Kamige Resort. Kamige is a giant amusement park corporation in Universal Century. This colony was originally intended to be nothing more than a giant theme park. As they continue through the tunnel, the doors close behind them, and the bulkhead opens. They quickly close their helmets as they get sucked out into space, where they are met with Renault and the Gaza G. He tells them that if they follow them again, they will die. He throws his spooge all over the soldiers. Wow, that's a lot of spooge. The Light Tribe members relate piloting a mobile suit to mastering the reins of a horse. Ilya Palzom and her Zakus spot the Gaza Gs. She begins chasing them. The Ars Jarja is waiting to snipe the Zakus. Meanwhile, Yuta's friends, who actually have names, Kaguna and Maono, are still trying to figure out the Theta Plus that they stole. Neo Zeon makes it into a colony tunnel where they are met with Kaguna and Maono. They try to fire some spooge at one of the Gaza Gs, but they unleash a dummy balloon of one of their gods, Lord Gerard. Ha! Their god is a corporate mascot from an entertainment company. Who would ever worship something like that? Anyways, Theta Plus is successful at slowing down their own friends and clogging the pathway. Ilya is confused at what she is looking at when the Ars Jarja tries to snipe her. She is able to dodge the beam. The Zaku 4 with Ilya wants to shoot back, but they can't risk hitting the colony. The Light Tribe takes the Neo Zeon pilots. Saki wonders if they should threaten the men or take them as prisoner. Sarasa tells the two pilots to tell Luce Krangle that they will not bend the knee to him or Neo Zeon. She says that there are things more important than life, and they are not afraid of destroying this colony in order to prevent it from getting into the hands of Neo Zeon. The Light Tribe members proceed to push them out into space to drift off. Sarasa don't play. Raymel is informed that the resistance movement is holding their own. She heads into a secret underground room where she looks up at a mysterious ship. The Atalante 3 is still messed up, but Luce is adamant about them pursuing the Raw Gills. Luce says that Gennaro doesn't understand the importance of that Minerva. This causes her to gasp. In a Papua-class ship, we see a mysterious man along with some mobile suits. He prays for all the sacrifices that Gennaro will have to make on this mission. He looks down to a dolphin pendant. In a previous episode, we saw that Gennaro too has the same dolphin pendant. Yuta takes a bite of ice cream for the first time and freaks out. He has never had something so cold or sweet before. Lieutenant Murray says that if you think vanilla is amazing, wait until you try chocolate. Yuta says that he actually has had chocolate before. The Licht family gives it out to the children during the changing of the seasons. It is a gift from the outside world. None of Londo Bell can imagine a life without a fridge. Samesies. Mari grows angry with Yuta and tells him and the rest of the crew to get moving. Wait, Murray and Mari? That's confusing. Saphira briefs Bright about the situation regarding Luce Krangle. Most of the information during Maharaja Khan's reign of Axis were destroyed, so they don't have a lot of data. But it seems the Krangle family was indeed close to both the Zabi family and the Toto family. Of course, we know these royal families were given special treatment, which led to the Nepo baby uprising of the third-generation children of Zeon. People obsessed with bloodline without any history or understanding of why they fight. She tells Bright of the Guasha-class ship. He mentions that during the first Neo-Zeon War, during the rebellion, there was an unknown ship that was aiding both Haman's faction and Glimmy's faction. This ship suddenly vanished. When Bright went to capture Minerva, they found out she was a double. Bright assumes that this ship may be the one that ran off with Minerva after the fall of Haman's Neo-Zeon. If Luce wants Minerva, then he is planning something big. Mari gives Yuta a uniform to wear and informs him that this situation is all temporary. Once they hand over Minerva, they will also hand over Yuta and he will get pushed through the EFF system. But he wants to stay with Minerva. Mari could tell that he is in love with her. She tells him to get dressed and she will give him a history lesson that might dissuade him from caring about Minerva so much. Bright wants Saphira to head to Lhasa with the team in the Regizid. He tells her of Luo and Co. and how they may be connected to Moon Moon in some way. Saphira thinks that this medicine the Light Tribe ranted about, it must be Luo and Co. Bright reminds her these are all rumors. But if they are true, Luo and Co. would want to keep Moon Moon quiet from the public. They might prevent them from handing over Minerva. After banking big on the Ayug during the Grips conflict, Luo Wumin and his company has amassed its own private military. Her Regizid might have to be put to use. It is safe to say then that they are going to be attacked from the front and the back. Since the Guasha and Luce are probably busy taking over Moon Moon, she assumes that it will be the Atalante 3 crew. Meanwhile, on the Atalante 3, as they head to Earth, a Papua-class ship approaches. The man hails the Atalante 3. He refers to Gennaro by her first name, Lisa or Lise? I'm not sure. She is embarrassed. She tells her crew to handle the transfer of goods. They assume she is mad, but as she leaves the bridge, we see that she is glowing. In the hangar, Agos receives the new mobile suits known as the Agjin. The EMS-13 Agjin was originally designed for aquatic use like the Guy. However, they were overhauled for lunar combat. They have been given a new backpack that also works in space. It is made with a super hard steel alloy. It is not a user-friendly mobile suit, but their mass-to-thrust ratio exceeds that of a Gaza type. It is equipped with 4 diffused beam cannons, 2 megaparticle cannons, and a 4-tube missile launcher. Ansgar yells at Agos, saying that these Humpty Dumpty looking mobile suits aren't going to help them on this operation. Oval comes over and tells him that Father has brought them these new mobile suits, and that it is best not to question him. Agos wonders who this Father is. Oval tells him that he is retired, but in a world where Zeon is constantly fighting for independence, no one truly retires. He says that if he were to go into battle, knowing that he would die, he would want Father with him. Oval says that Mum probably understands this as well. Father, also known as Commander Juan, tells Gennaro that these mobile suits would be great in the hands of a new type, but she tells him their new type sucks. Poor Agos. Gennaro says that Agos came from New Type Labs and was supposedly top of his class of cyber new types. Father says that he will talk to Nanai, who is the director of New Type Labs. If you watched yesterday's Johnny Ryden video, we explained how New Type Labs was defunct after the fall of the Titans. This includes Murasame, Augusta Labs, the Exam Institute which derives from Blue Destiny, and much more. But Nanai was doing new type research on Side 3 for Zeon, all while under EFF rule. Go watch our Shar's Deleted Affair videos to see more about Nanai and her brother. She asks about the church, which is in Palau. Palau is close to Australia, so, you know, lot of orphans. He shows her a picture drawn by one of the children of Father and Mum. He shows her his dolphin pendant. Meanwhile, Mari shows Yuta the colony drop that Minerva and her people caused, opening up Yuta's eyes to the truth. Mari continues telling Yuta about the colony drop, but she also tells him how Zeon also killed their own. She explains that there was a hierarchy among the Spacenoids. They attack other sides with the exception of Side 6, which declared neutrality during all of this. Side 7 was also neutral, but that didn't last long. Yuta originally doesn't believe it, but he thinks back to a time when Agos told him that Zeon lost the trust of the Spacenoids. The princess will never be like that. She also explains how the Zabis bastardized the concept of the new type created by Zeon and used it to divide the world. Even after the war, Minerva's name was used to create Neo-Zeon, and another colony drop occurred. Mari says that Minerva has come to terms with who she is. She has accepted it. If you feel the same way, then certainly he must agree with her. She continues to make Yuta feel bad about just learning history, and he runs out. At that time, Saphira is passing by and sees Yuta is upset. She asks Mari what happened, and she tells Saphira she told him the truth. We learn that Mari is a former Zeon. She says that killing is wrong and that all fighting should be done through politics. But then she bitterly says that she thinks that that is the least that she could do as a former Zeon, though she doesn't use those exact words. Saphira, without skipping a beat, chokes Mari and tells her that this righteousness only makes her look like a child. Hell yeah, Saphira doesn't mess around. As Saphira floats away, Mari cries. We flash back to the end of the first Neo-Zeon War in UC 0089. Haman soldiers are fighting Glimmy soldiers, even though there is a ceasefire and Haman and Glimmy are dead. Some of these Zeon soldiers include Klaus and Ansgar. That is when EFF and the AU come in with their backup. There is nothing they could do. That is when Funnels begin taking out EFF. It is Luce Krangle in his Dagdoll. He tells all of the remaining Zeon members to fall back with him and his Guasha. No Zeon soldier has seen this ship before. If you are following our coverage of 0083 Rebellion, we saw the power vacuum created after the 1-year war, which fractured Zeon's strength. When Glimmy and Haman died, Luce didn't waste any time and took command. He sealed that power vacuum quicker than Spooge sealing a colony hole. Remember, Luce is a 3rd-generation Zeon. They treat Zeonism the same way that Christians treated the Crusades. All ships follow the Guasha with the exception of one, the Atalante II. The captain of the Guasha hails the rogue ship, but it is met with their first officer, Exo Gennaro. Gennaro wants to go back to Core 3 to help all the poor mining children. Many of the miners on Core 3 were born and raised on Axis. She says she has to try to save them, or else. She hesitates. Luce chimes in and says, we know you will go to hell. We all know what you're talking about. We don't have time for your emotion or religion. Last episode, we learned that Gennaro and Father ran a church and orphanage together. Now's the time to pull back. But before she listens to his orders, Father in his Dovin wolf says to Gennaro that the children are waiting. Ansgar, Klaus, and Oval join them along with 130 soldiers to help save as many people as possible. However, Klaus, Ansgar, Oval, and Father are the only people who survive. She bears the burdens of their deaths, but because of their sacrifice, they were able to save the children of Core 3. Luce doesn't reprimand her for her actions. Luce seems to know how Gennaro functions and says that the burden of losing all of the men is enough suffering and really uses her dead comrades to pressure her to continue to fight for Zeon. The children on the Church of Palau were the ones to give Gennaro the dolphin pendants. As she leaves to serve Zeon once again, she gives one to Father. In the present, Father holds her and tells her that he is just a priest in disguise and that he is really just trying to save his own soul. Let me tell you, this priest hottos and he hottos hard. Oval briefs the team on the bridge. The Raw Gills is traveling around a debris field to head to Earth. The Adelante 3 will go through the field in order to cut them off. Oval will scout the debris field with the Gazgrau BB, while Agos and Klaus heads out in the Agjin. Yuta talks to Minerva, but Saphira runs on the bridge and tells Captain Laro not to let that emotionally unstable boy talk to her in his current state. Meanwhile, a mysterious person gets a new mission and deletes the logs. Yuta yells at Minerva. He thought that he knew her. Minerva cuts him off and tells him that everything is recorded in this room. He tries to force understanding between the two, but that isn't how it works. She simply responds that it was for the greater good. Yuta yells, asking if her grandfather was for the greater good, and floats out. Saphira is waiting on the outside and asks if he's okay. She reminds Yuta that unless you are a new type, it takes time to understand others. She also reminds him that the events of Operation British happened before she was even born. The life she has is thrusted upon her, and she never had the chance to properly grow up. Saphira says behind that door is someone who probably has a heart that is more broken than you, and that he should understand that. Yuta says, is it because he is a new type? Saphira says, no, it is because you are a man. Saphira is on fire in this episode. Yuta is starting to realize that he is the one that screwed up. Oval talks to Gennaro discreetly. He thinks that he may have figured out who the mole was. When leaving Moon Moon, he worked with First Officer Ebe to create a program that would transfer all data to a secondary terminal if any log files were deleted. He set up a hidden camera to capture this when it happens. He gives a photo to Gennaro, who can't believe it. T-minus 60 minutes until the mission begins. Klaus watches Agos talk to Father about the Agjin. Father says that the arm thrusters make for perfect binders. He is still confused on why this choice of mobile suit. He asks Father why he became a priest. He says after the incident at Core 3, he looked at mobile suits differently. He starts asking Agos about his past and how cyber-new type memories can be altered. He wonders who his master is. Klaus intervenes and tells Father not to bug Agos before an important mission. He tells Agos not to trust Father and says that he has his back. He doesn't say that to everyone. Hey, he's finally considered a part of the team. Oval and Gennaro wonder what they should do. This is the perfect opportunity to bring them in, but they can't afford to cut off the mission and lose Minerva. Just like Core 3, she is once again left wondering if she should go against her orders. Father goes to find Gennaro, but stumbles into the comm rooms to see a missile going off. Father says it all makes sense. Everyone on the ship is informed of the missile launch. No one knows where the authorization came from. We see blood in Father's glasses floating as a mysterious man floats away. Well, the cat is out of the bag, and they have to press forward. The Raw Gills knows they are coming. At the Raw Gills, they are certain it is the Adelante 3. They prep for an attack. Saphira and Captain Laro are concerned. They don't get why they would sacrifice their life going through the space debris only to give away their location. Saphira contacted the informant when she was a prisoner on board Neozeon's ship. She believes there is no reason for him to give away his identity, but she felt a coldness coming from him. He certainly isn't an ally that can be trusted. The Raw Gills approaches Earth's gravity. This makes things even more difficult for Gennaro. She's going to have to send her team out and play right into the informant's hand. Saphira learns that a Papua class is following the Adelante 3. She requests to change up her loadout to the missile launcher. Murray tells her to get back safely, which is her way of apologizing. Saphira tells Murray to expect long-range attacks. This is going to be a tough one. Before launching, Murray talks a big game, but Ubaldo gets on the comm and yells at him and tells him to respect Saphira's orders. Ubaldo tells Saphira that he has a bad feeling and to get back safely, Wait, how is Ubaldo talking directly to a mobile suit from the medbay? This isn't Star Trek where you could divert power and communications to wherever you want. What are the security protocols? How does this work under Minovsky particle dispersion? I'm getting sidetracked, but these are the questions that keep me up at night. Saphira launches in the Regizid for the first time. While Yuta wonders what he is fighting for, Saphira takes on a missile barrage from the Atlante 3. Oval guides Agos and Klaus out in the Aggens. While prepping, Klaus tells Agos about Earth's gravity well. He says, yeah man, you make one wrong move and it just pulls you in. It consumes you, then engulfs you in flames. Oval tells Klaus not to freak out Agos. The two head out and engage with the Jettas. Meanwhile, Oval is sniping in the Gaz-Grau BB. The AMX-117LG Gaz-Grau BB is the fusion of the Gaz-L-Grau and the Gaz-R-Grau. It has a 6.2 missile launcher on both shoulders as well as double the shield. Other weapons include 2 beam sabers, a high energy output heat lance, and the long-range rifle of the Gaz-L-Grau. So this line of half mobile suits have finally become a full mobile suit. Congratulations? Oval shoots at Saphira while the Aggens approach behind another missile barrage. She goes in and attacks Oval. He is struggling but able to keep up with her. Saphira wonders where Agos is, not realizing that the Aggens are approaching from behind. Agos detaches his propellant. He does a few flips and hops onto the raw gills. He has some real Kirby energy going on. Agos starts by taking out the turrets. Captain Laro recalls the mobile suits to back up the Klopp-class ship, but they have their hands full with the missile barrage. Agos heads into the hangar and cuts off all the power to the lower decks. He took over the ship before and now knows how to neutralize it. Below the ship, Klaus gets out of his Aggen and accesses a control panel on the keel of the ship. He sends a Morse code message to Minerva and heads to the mobile suit deck immediately. There is no power, so she is able to leave quite easy. No guards or anything? Okay, sure, why not? Important mission, no guards. I'm getting distracted again. Minerva is able to make her escape while Agos distracts the team. While Agos is causing a distraction, Yuta attacks him in Moon Gundam. They have a Mexican standoff on the deck of the ship. Yuta can feel a strange sensation pulling him. That's gravity, Yuta. It sucks. That is when Klaus comes in with his Aggen, doing his best bowling ball cosplay as he knocks Yuta off the raw gills. Yuta gets sucked up by Earth's gravity well. Moon Gundam plummets towards Earth. Ubaldo, listening to the radio, decides to leave the medbay and help out his team. Klaus tells Agos to stop dicking around, or they will be sucked into the gravity well. Yuta learns gravity while it tries to kill him. Mari contacts Yuta and calms him down. She helps guide him to pull himself out. She decides to motivate him right on time as Earth's gravity well cuts off the comms. Yuta focuses and is able to move the psychoplates on board the raw gills. So this is saying that Psychomu tech is better than radio waves or whatever communication is being used at the time. 4 psychoplates guide the mobile suit's limbs to help stabilize the Gundam and thrust back towards the raw gills. Yuta gets back to the ship but senses something isn't right. Klaus meets up with Minerva and grabs her. He tries to tell Agos the plan, but he begins getting a voice in his head. The voice says over and over to eliminate him. Gennaro finds Juan's floating body unconscious. As Minerva gets into Klaus's cockpit, Agos grabs Klaus and proceeds to rip Klaus apart. I guess we found out who the mole is. We flash back to a new type scientist operating on Agos, who happens to be Nanai. She is testing a new biochemical procedure on his brain and explains to him how it is different than brainwashing. Agos tells her to get it over with. This procedure will essentially split his brain into 2, allowing each side to be blocked off from each other. Agos has been through the horrors of the 1-year war. When someone told him this gives Agos the opportunity to forget all the pain, he didn't hesitate to sign up for the procedure. In the present, Agos begins tearing apart Klaus's Aggen when Yuta in Moon Gundam tries to stop him. Juan wakes up. He was only knocked out. He explains to Captain Gennaro about Agos' situation. It must be through a combination of drugs and imprinting, allowing 2 people to exist in a single body. Juan calls him the perfect spy. He doesn't know of his other self's wrongdoings. Father wants to go out to help him. He refers to him as a lost lamb. Gennaro thinks that this is insane as they are about to enter the gravity well. She reminds him that he is a fake priest and that God has left him centuries ago. He stops her from talking by kissing her. He doesn't want to abandon the children. Ubaldo helps out in the Jeddah cannon. The RGC-90XC Jetta Cannon is a mid-range and long-range support mobile suit based on the Jetta and is more of a support unit than the original Jetta. Ubaldo will refer to this unit as the Jetta Bull. It is equipped with head Vulcans, a beam cannon, shoulder missile pods, hand grenades, a twin arm grenade, a hyper beam saber, and a short shield. Ubaldo tells Yuta that they have to get the Agjin out of the hangar to stand a chance. Yuta needs to focus on protecting Minerva while Ubaldo takes on the Agjin. Agos uses the beam cannon inside of the hangar, which could have killed everyone. He has lost it. He grabs everyone in the Agjin and jumps off the raw gills. Ubaldo tells Yuta that they can't chase after them. He tells Yuta that his mobile suit won't survive re-entry. Yuta doesn't understand why everyone is so full of hate and angry with one another. He doesn't know which side is on the side of good, but he wants to save Minerva. He jumps off the raw gills. Saphira notes that they don't have balut systems. They are screwed. Minerva gets in contact with Agos and asks why kill her this way. His goal is to bring Minerva to Earth in the most optimal way possible. The most optimal way is for Agos' Agjin to act like a balut for Minerva, sacrificing his life. Minerva notes that she felt something from Agos when she was a prisoner, but right now he feels cold and somewhat indifferent. She can't sense anything from him. He is an empty shell. Yuta comes in to save Minerva. Agos tries to use the diffuse beam cannon on Moon Gundam, but the psychoplates protect it. Comms are about to be cut off. The raw gills won't be able to save Yuta. It is up to Saphira. She spots another Agjin approaching. It is Father Juan and his Agjin with a set of extra boosters. Father and Yuta try to snap Agos out of it. He's reminded of the time he and Yuta's grandfather saved Moon Moon. The Agjin snaps one of the psychoplates in half. Juan tells Yuta to hold course while he goes in and dropkicks Minerva's Agjin out of Agos' hand. Yuta goes in and grabs her. Father goes in and grabs Agos. He tells him that his actions are not his fault and that he forgives him. Father gives Agos a dropkick and burns up in Earth's gravity. How are these dropkicks strong enough to pull them out of Earth's gravity well? The power of Christ really is on his side. The raw gills are in range of the Atalante 3, but Captain Lauro decides not to fire on them. They all wonder why the third Agjin saved Minerva. Ultimately, they leave the rest in the hands of Saphira. That's lazy. Minerva wants Yuta to let her go, as he could probably save himself. He refuses to let go. He isn't saving her because she is some hope for Zeon. He is doing this because she is needed. He is doing a way better job at putting his heart on the line than Riddy will do in a few years. Moon Gundam rips through the Agjin and grabs the escape pod. Agos snaps out of it and wonders where he is and what happened to Klaus. He has returned to his other persona. Captain Gennaro preps anti-air guns to fire on Agos. They don't understand how Agos doesn't remember anything that just transpired. He begins crying, but he doesn't understand why. They lock on to his mobile suit. Yuta and Minerva have a new type naked cuddle session. Yuta kinda drags on about facing the world together with her, but at least Minerva seems to be into it, unlike Riddy. That is when Saphira in the Rejizid pulls Yuta on top of her mobile suit in Wave Rider mode, which can withstand Earth re-entry. Looks like the gang is heading to Earth. They end up landing in Antarctica, which happens to be Zeon territory. Yuta thinks this is what Earth is like, but Minerva reminds him that it isn't all frozen. That is when psychoplates begin attacking them. Neo-Zeon mobile suits surround them, led by the Psycho Baowu. The AMX-107P Psycho Baowu is a prototype variant of the Baowu created by newborn Neo-Zeon, using the data obtained by the Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-Doors. It is used as a testbed for the Psychoplate system, which helped end the development of the miniaturization of Psychomu and Psycho Frame tech. It is equipped with the Psychoplates, a beam saber, a beam rifle, a grenade launcher, a shield which contains a 5-barrel particle cannon, and a 3-tube missile launcher. Yuta realizes the psychoplates are just like his. Off in the distance is Char in the Sazabi prototype. The MSN-04X2 Sazabi prototype terrain mode is Char's new mobile suit of choice, which is the culmination of Zeonic tech. He initially used the Yagdoga, but failed to meet his requirements. The Sazabi is made with the data exploring the Psycho Frame, starting with the Psychoplate data. It uses the Yagdoga head, and has a 2-seater Gyaradoga cockpit. Weapons include a beam saber, a long rifle which will be improved funnels, the abdomen diffusion megaparticle cannon, a shield which holds a beam tomahawk saber and missiles, as well as extra propellant tanks. He was expecting Minerva, but not another Gundam. Meanwhile, Amado's team runs into a shuttle when they are informed that Saphira fell to Earth. They don't seem to find anything wrong with the civilian shuttle. Little do they know, it is running operations of Luo and Company. He tries to contact Luo directly. In Hong Kong, Stephanie is talking to Luo about Minerva's whereabouts. Meanwhile, Michelle Luo is monitoring this all go down. She expected that Char was planning something, and says that if he really did plan to meet with Minerva in Antarctica, then a new Neo-Zeon uprising will soon begin. They might want to conspire pulling out of Lhasa soon. She seems to be acting independently from her father Luo, but still relying on their resources. Ugh, children. Back in Antarctica, Neo-Zeon demands that Yuta hands over Minerva. There happen to be two Psycho Baowoos, one piloted by Yahim, the other piloted by Gyune. Saphira just wants to give up and play it by ear, but Yuta throws up Minerva's escape hatch to Saphira while he takes care of the Psycho Baowoos. Yuta fights with the hot-headed Gyune, who wants to know where Agos is. Yuta uses the Psycho Plates to attack Gyune. He falls towards Earth and begins surfing on one of the Psycho Plates. The Psycho Baowoo catches the Regizid, while Yuta confronts Char in the Sazabi prototype. Char notes that these are the prototype Psycho Plates of the Psycho Gundam Mark IV G-Doors, but he wonders why they are being used by a Gundam. Char was playing behind the scenes and was responsible for the Vargwell, since they are working with Agos. But remember, he also gave the design details away to Titan's remnants, and the Psycho Gundam was the product of that. Char tells him that the machine belongs to his forces, and to hand it over, even though he notes the head vastly improves the unit. Yuta only has one more Psycho Plate. He tries to attack, but Char takes care of him with ease. Minerva tries to use new type Psycho powers to get Char to stand down. Back in space, the Atalante 3 crew decide to capture Agos instead of kill him. They are heading back to Moon. Inside of the colony, the 3D team is flying around the Gigazam, telling the Light Tribe people to stop helping the Resistance forces or they will be punished. Yuta's mother and Saki are currently assisting the Resistance by providing food and resources. Char is working in Antarctica, testing the next generation mobile suit in Earth gravity, the Gyaradoga. They no longer need Minerva, however. They still proceed with the operation. He will let Raymel handle the rest. In Moon's hangar, Neo-Zeon is informed that something bad happened on board the Atalante 3 and they failed their mission. Neo-Zeon is starting to figure out Moon's underground passages, but they are starting to cut them off, making it harder to get supplies to the rebels. Sarasa asks Renault if perhaps they should try to negotiate. They get a message that someone wants to speak with Sarasa and Renault. They go to find that Renault's father is the messenger. Lord Alfonso, Renault's father, tells him and Sarasa that even though spirits are high with all the soldiers of the rebellion, the people on the outside being oppressed by Neo-Zeon are all feeling uneasy. Renault's father says that there was nothing that they could do to ease the minds of the people of Moon. Renault and Lady Sarasa can get married under the light of the moon. The Licht family and the Moon family have been intertwined via marriage in the past. This would be a perfect opportunity for Sarasa to let her people know that she is still alive. This infuriates Renault so much so that he gets in front of his father's face and yells at him. He says it would be a disgrace to Sarasa. Steve said he would have had his head if he wasn't his own father. Alfonso says that bringing the two families together can make her a powerful symbol of the Moon resistance. Sarasa stops him and asks if the words he is saying is from his own mouth. Alfonso becomes flustered and stumbles on his words. Renault realizes that this is his mother who is making his father say this. Meanwhile, the matriarchy of the Licht family, Nilda Licht, visits Raymel, who we learned is a part of the Licht family. Nilda is feeling nervous about this all and wants to call off the wedding. She gives her a potion to calm her nerves. What's in this potion? She also reminds her mother that she has no intention of crowning Luce Krangle as king. Renault is embarrassed by what his father is asking of him. He is embarrassed because his true feelings are still with Rosara. We get a flashback of Rosara and Renault when they were children. He promises to take her outside of Moon, but the two grew apart. Remember, Rosara was the rebellious one, while Renault joined the army and they became opposites in many ways. He never did hold up to his promise. Man, imagine losing the game of love to Mondo. He also was afraid because he always felt unworthy. In the end, she left the colony and ended up getting killed in the process. Even with Sarasa, he feels the same way. He also says he has tried to find the same comfort in Sarasa that Rosara once gave him. They are twins, but they are very different people. However, Sarasa and Renault have been nothing but loyal to one another. She says that they should do it for Rosara and for the good of the people of the Light Tribe. Sarasa sends a message to the people, raising their morales in desperate times. Dune and Dale of the 3D team want to cut off communications, but Danny and Ilya remind them that letting her talk is a part of their plan. Sarasa finishes by saying to look out for another announcement soon. Saki wonders where Yuta currently is. Meanwhile, on Earth, Char is looking at Moon Gundam while Gyune gives Yuta a visit. Char and his team are training in their Earth terrain variants. He says that he wants all of Earth to be covered in clouds, like the Antarctic currently is. What was this training for? I guess if his plan worked and Axis fell to Earth, he would still need to take out any remaining forces that survive. Meanwhile, Nanai interrogates Saphira. She knows that she is both an informant and a Gundam pilot because of Agos, who was the other informant. She wonders why a Londo Bell member was on such a reckless mission. But her true plan wasn't the capture of Minerva. It was actually to let her go and to follow her in the hopes that it would lead her to Char. Remember, finding Char is her true mission over the Raw Gills mission. However, she wasn't expecting Luce to be the one handling the transfer. She makes fun of Char using the anagram Enkidu. This moment is meant to reveal that Agos' contact was Daikun, aka Char. But when Enkidu was mentioned a few episodes back, I don't think any of us was fooled by the anagram, and we all knew it was Daikun. Unless you're 10 years old, in which case you shouldn't be here. No one, however, could have foreseen that the Psycho Plates would eventually make their way to Moon Moon. Ultimately, Saphira feels bad because she was a part of opening up Pandora's box for Moon Moon. Those people can never go back to their simple ways. Especially Yuta. Since Yuta is so young and a new type, Gyune wonders if he is one of those designer babies, referring to Puru and her clones. Yuta is a little jumpy, but Gyune wants to ask him a simple question. What happened to Agos? Ever since they visited Moon Moon, things have been weird with him. He was the one who was supposed to deliver Minerva as well, but Yuta happened to show up on Earth. Yuta wonders if Agos is Gyune's friend. He laughs at the idea. He tells Yuta that he is more of a rival. Aw, the fact that Gyune has anything in life is adorable. Agos was promoted to ensign before Gyune. Yuta yells at him, claiming that he doesn't understand what Agos has been feeling. Gyune grabs the boy and tells him that he is sickened by weak people like him. That is when Yuta gives him a good knee to the gut. He throws a stool and busts out of the room. Nanai is informed of Yuta's escape. Of course, Saphira knows that it is Yuta. Meanwhile, Minerva meets with Char. She mentions that she has certainly grown since the last time they met. She brings up the time that she played the violin for him. This happened in the Zeta Gundam New Translation movie. Yuta shimmies up a pipe and heads towards the hangar. He sneaks around and finds Moon Gundam, but it doesn't have the Psycho Plates. However, the Psycho Baowoos do have their Psycho Plates. As he gets into the cockpit, Minerva and Saphira can sense him. The Psycho Plates on the Psycho Baowoo begin glowing. Yuta isn't moving, and Neo Zeon tries to get Moon Gundam's hatch open. Gyune says that he will be the one to take this kid down. Minerva isn't putting up with Char. He tells her that Minerva's support for her rebellion isn't even currently on his mind. Of course, what is on his mind, most likely on repeat, was Amado and Lala's connection. Char senses a change in Minerva, and this is something interesting. But it can also be some Star Wars Force Dyad nonsense. It can still go both ways. That is that Minerva and Yuta seem to be completely connected as one, which is something even Lala couldn't do until after her death. Minerva's demeanor changes again. She says that he is a man that can't face reality. These are the words of Haman Khan, or, as Char puts it, the words of a ghost. She says that he is a man who wants to burden the thousands of souls feeling scared. Gyune begins fighting with Yuta. Char calls to Nanai when he hears someone call him Lieutenant. The new type aura of Camille is emanating through Minerva. He says that Quattro could never accept new types. He then sees cats. Yuta and Gyune continue their battle when Nanai comes into the hangar with Saphira. She says to surrender immediately or she will shoot her. Minerva tells Yuta to prepare himself when Saphira stomps Nanai's foot and tells Yuta to get out of here. But a Zeon underling knees Saphira right in the gut. There are a lot of gut shots in this read-through. Yuta feels helpless and Gyune gets the upper hand. As Yuta is knocked out, so too does Minerva pass out. As they are connected, Char is informed that Yuta is back in custody. He asks if the kid is unconscious. Him being knocked out means that his suspicions of the two being a new type dyad of some sorts is correct. He lays Minerva down to rest. Oh no, Char. Don't look at her like that while she's passed out. I'm uncomfortable. Gennaro tells Agos of the murder he caused while under a different personality. She is turning him over to Luce and his team who will deal with him. Agos wants to die for his actions, but Father died for him and she doesn't want him to die in vain. They leave him to whine about wanting his memory wiped and becoming a true puppet for Zeon. At least this way he won't have to feel pain. Back on Moon, Luce is informed of the situation regarding Agos. As it makes its way back, he wants to try to keep Adelante 3 off the radar. If Raymail's idea for Sarasa and Renault to get married goes to plan, this could affect the lives of everyone, not just EFF, but say hidden secrets of Ronan and the Marcinus family, or perhaps someone like Luo and Co., who have vested interests. Right now, there is only one person who does trade with Moon, and that is medicine. As of right now, Luo and Co. are currently making their way towards the colony, so it can be assumed that they are medicine. But Alfonso Licht seems to be the only one who knows. Whomever they are, they have a monopoly on Moon's product. Ilya says that Medellin is a cartel during the previous century, though there is a location too called Medellin. Medicine and Medellin sounds eerily familiar to her. Regardless of who this medicine is, it doesn't change the fact that Luo and Co. are making their way to Moon. Another thing to note is that the word arts in German means doctor who focuses on medicine rather than surgical methods, which explains the potion Arts gave her mother earlier. Ilya is certain there is a connection between Arts, Medellin, medicine, and possibly Luo and Co. Ilya's ancestry comes from Colombia and is familiar with the stories of the old cartels. Luo and Co. has its roots in Asia, so probably not them, but they still aren't going to take them off the table. Meanwhile, a Zaku Flipper is on a Dodai Kai scouting the poles. The MS-06E3 Zaku Flipper was a variant of the Zaku Recon type. There were 100 Recon types made, and a handful of those were upgraded to the Flipper. This unit serves both as a Recon and Scout role, while also having the thrusters of a Zaku 2 Commander type. It has an array of new camera sensors, and its main cameras on its head can flip forwards and backwards quickly. This allows the unit to not have to rotate its body to scout. You would think this is where the name comes from, but it is actually from its 6 sensors on its back used to detect objects. It flaps while the mobile suit is in use. Why not call it a flapper then? It is equipped with a 120mm machine gun, a 130mm anti-ship rifle, a 280mm bazooka, a railgun, and a camera gun. It finds a base and heads back to a Garuda-class ship. Some crew members wonder if this comes from the Red Pole team, but another guy tells them not to bring up that name. Some are upset that the Garuda has become a taxi service for Luo and Co. Yeah, they tend to take over ships during this time. The team has a meeting regarding their findings in Antarctica. They are certain this is Char's doing, and he is amassing an army. In this meeting is the young Michelle Luo and Brick Teclato. They are certain Minerva is with Char. A man named Zaji is annoyed by Michelle's intervention. She calls Stephanie, who reminds him to try to stay out of Zaji's way. As she is still a child, she is still cocky and confident about her talents and position in life. She even goes so far as to tease Stephanie, saying she will go after her position. Ultimately, her reason for being here is that she believes that former New Type Lab members have left to work with Neo Zeon. She wants to drop down herself just so she could talk to someone with the inner workings from the Titans-controlled New Type Labs. She's doing all this work to find someone who may have information on the miracle child, Rita. She's trying to find her friend. For those of you who were not fans of Michelle during Gundam narrative, we see that she was trying behind the scenes. As the Garuda passes, Gyune, Yahim, and Petra launches in the Seiko Baowoos to resume training. While training, Gyune tries what he is calling a Psycho Jack. He is trying to steal Petra's Psycho Plates, but he is unable to do it. Petra suggests that perhaps it is just because Yuta is the real thing. Remember, Gyune is just cyber-enhanced and not a real new type. Commander Yahim tells him to focus on regular maneuvers that he is failing at before trying something new. Petra believes that a key catalyst for becoming a new type is falling in love, just as Commander Char did with Lala. She tells Gyune that maybe he should try to fall in love with her. He is getting distracted by her teasing, but he admits that he is missing the emotional connection that all new types seem to have. Back at the base, Yuta and Minerva undergo an fMRI scan while having their minds become one. Once they sync, they notice that many people are about to come to Antarctica. In the brig, Saphira is doing push-ups when Nanai walks in. She feels like she has gotten weak since she's left Earth. Imagine you spend your life in space and you feel gravity for the first time? Has to be the worst jet lag ever. Saphira has lost people in the Dublin colony drop, so she has no patience for Neo Zeon. Nanai asks her how Yuta and Minerva came to meet one another. She doesn't know and was hoping Nanai could shed some light. She doesn't know either, but they are obviously infatuated with one another. Nanai says that Minerva is highly educated and doesn't speak to males so easily. Saphira is being rude to Nanai, but But after hearing that, her ears perk up. She turns around and says they are in love, obviously. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Have you never been in love? Oh, this is interesting. Let's investigate this. What is going on here, she wonders, between her and Char? It seems she is feeding into his self-destructive tendencies and becoming codependent on Char. She tells Nanai that Char is a textbook man who seeks a maternal figure, while also despising his mother for not loving him enough. Lala, Haman, Rekawa, and now Nanai. He is simply going to use her. Nanai says that their relationship transcends these traditional gender roles, and she certainly said that with a straight face. Saphira could see through her. The Investigation Bureau not only studies battle data, they also study their psychological profile. In this moment, it seems that Saphira understands Char more so than Nanai. Before she walks out, Saphira tells Nanai that a baby would throw her entire world upside down. After interrogating Saphira, a scientist approaches Nanai and informs her that they found trace amounts of Betanar in the 2's system. This is apparently used for cyber new type enhancements. Also, Yuta has high levels of it in his system as well. Char takes Yuta out in the below zero temperatures to show him a hole in the earth caused by mining for resources. He tells Yuta that back in the old century, people had to find ways to beat the harshness of the environment. But soon it became too much and people stopped for the sake of humanity. But then in Universal Century, the majority of humanity lived out in space. People were willing to stop destroying the earth if it meant the destruction of humanity. But people are unwilling to stop the overpollution merely for the planet's sake. So people in 2024 are handling this better? Yeah, suck it, Universal Century. Now the privileged few are trying to monopolize Earth by forcing people into space. On Moon, Yuta tells Char that there are locusts like this as well. They use bigger nets to overfish, or they overtill the soil, making it harder for generations down the line to use. These behaviors are highly frowned upon. He says that once humanity heads to space, the Earth can rest. He wants to stop the forces of infinite growth. Yuta remembers the conversation he had with his grandfather, where they pondered if man could live in space without a spacesuit. Char asks Yuta to join him and help bury the old system, help create a world where new types like him can exist. On Luna 2, the Raw Gale's crew is running skirmishes with Amado and the Razaim crew. They are practicing for their attack on Antarctica. Ubaldo wonders why they are using their Special Forces unit instead of the big fleet. They think that they will be a distraction while EFF sends out a bigger ground force. Ubaldo looks up at Earth. He wants to save Yuta. The Raw Gale's repairs would have taken 2 months to finish, but they were cleared to speed up the process. Also, all ships involved in this operation involves only units that interacted with Moon. Certainly, this is to capture Minerva, but something about Moon doesn't sit right. They're keeping it a secret and leaving it to Londo Bell instead of the great EFF fleet. Back at the Neo Zeon base, they are stripping Moon Gundam for enhancements, but Yuta thinks they are destroying it. Char lets him know they are replacing its generator. He wants to give Yuta a mobile suit fit for him, whether they become allies or enemies. When Yuta asks about Agos, Char actually says the quiet part out loud, which he rarely does. He says that humanity cannot wait for everyone to become new types, which is why they create cyber new types like Agos. He is forcing evolution, which is the core difference between Zeon and EFF from a philosophical standpoint. Do you abandon the bottom at the expense of progress at the top, or do you help everyone equally, potentially at the expense of progress? Or in the case of EFF and Zeon, it is bureaucratic democracy versus a strong national agenda driven by the oligarchy. Yuta sees Char treating humans and mobile suits no differently. His hesitance towards Char remains. Nanai goes to tell Char about Yuta and Minerva's results. He asks if the drugs are taking effect in their system. He seems to be aware of it. Horst Harness seems to have found information about Moon that EFF has been hiding for some time. There is a reason why the psychoplates drifted to the colony. This is actually a conspiracy that dates back to the old century. He sends Nanai some files to look over. Char wonders what the doll on Moon will do, referring to Luce. On Moon, Luce calls for a ceasefire during Renault and Sarasa's wedding as a present. Klaus and Olvo, or is it Ansgar? I don't know, they all have the same face. They tell the Moon rebels of the ceasefire. And of course, they tell him what a ceasefire actually is as well. Stupid hippies. More on that in a second. Oval says that Luce's eyes aren't that of a 13-year-old, and that he wonders if the rumors are true. Sarasa's handmaidens plan for her wedding. They apologize as they won't be able to have something so extravagant in the next 24 hours during the ceasefire. They give her a headband that belonged to their mother. She flashes back to when she was younger. Eld Moon is telling Sarasa and Rasara the story of the two tribes that once ruled Moon. The Moon Tribe and the Tribe of Arts. In the present, Saki goes to do the tradition of giving the groom a sponge bath. We need more traditions with sponge baths. He wants to do it himself, but it has to be done by a handmaiden. Now strip. He gets naked to reveal a marking on his side. It is the marking of Arts. He was so self-conscious of it that he never played in the lakes when he was younger. Saki says that Yuta wouldn't have cared and went into the lake. She hopes that Yuta returns soon. She says this marriage will transcend the Moon Tribe. Camillo, the Licht family butler, I guess, informs Alfonso of Nilda's mysterious night rides. He reflects back to the past when Renault was a baby. Nilda refused to breastfeed him and seems to be harboring resentment. It begins raining on Moon Moon. Meanwhile, Raimel injects herself with what can be assumed is the mysterious product of Moon Moon. Raimel says that when medicine comes, the true ruler of darkness will meet them. Everyone gathers for the wedding ceremony. In Antarctica, Nanai goes over Char's intel. The file is titled, Regarding Sale of Prototype Colony, Bernal 1 to Private Sector. Right before Universal Century, an experimental colony was created as a base for side construction. It also had an experimental module to see if humans could endure long-term habitation in space. It was originally meant to be dismantled, but after the experimental module, things started to pick up fast. Before the wedding, Sarasa holds the moon ceremony. Luce and Neozeon watches on. He says this isn't Sarasa's doing. It is just a program made 100 years ago that opens the windows to the colony to allow light to reflect into it. Some underpaid engineer vicariously created a program which created a religion. Remember, Moon Moon was an attempt by the Kamige Corporation to create a Disneyland colony. Then, government interference reversed the sale from happening. This caused the Kamige Corporation tens of billions in losses. Someone bought a colony for less than what Elon Musk bought Twitter. That number should have been in the trillions, I feel. The Kamige Corporation tried to litigate this. The government interference was actually not sinister in nature. The experimental module that these colonies were built with, although fine in short term, is quite damaging in the long term, as there wasn't sufficient radiation shielding seen in modern colonies. These never should have been given to the private sector to begin with. The litigation went on for years, but eventually the Kamige Corporation recouped their losses. The problem comes with the colony squatters. After the destruction of Laplace, the death of the president, and the rise in authoritarianism, there was a rise in anti-authoritarian sentiments, and with it came a rise in hippies, which hasn't been seen since the old century. Many saw the colonies as a commune heaven. The Kamige Corporation took advantage of these hippies to recoup the remaining losses of the colonies. They can't occupy it with people, but they can sell these dangerous colonies to a bunch of people who want to hide from EFF so they could build their communes. Of course, EFF knew, but there seems to be some bureaucratic red tape that makes it hard to kick out settlers off lands with established ownership. It'll just be another litigation that'll take years. Over time, all of the communes of Bernal 1 formed into one. It became known as the Utopia Moon Moon. Of course, they still relied on outside trade, which was handled in a shady manner by Kamige. Eventually, through enough lengthy legal battles, EFF was able to evict the hippies and strip these colonies that never should have been. But for some reason, it never happened. The people of Moon Moon seem to have a plan from the beginning if this were to ever happen. Sarasa Moon says that she is merging the Licht and Moon families and declares that Renault is her husband. Yeah, this man is mine now. They must stand up and fight to vanquish the darkness. She says, let any dissenters speak now. That is when Raimel crashes the wedding. She is here to remind the Light Tribe that the darkness is what fuels Moon Moon. Minerva meets with Yuta, who is wearing a Neozeon uniform. She wonders why he has changed from his EFF uniform. He seems to be genuinely confused about what to do. He hates what Char did to Agos, but if they were to run away, most likely EFF would capture them. Perhaps this is the safest place for them right now. Minerva grabs Yuta's hand and tells him to speak the truth. She tries to fuse with him, but it doesn't work. He says they need to be closer to a psychoplate for it to work. Maybe they can escape and get close to one so they could fuse. That is when Char walks in. He wants her to finish her sentence. She ultimately doesn't have a plan. Char mentions that the two of them not only create a new type residence, but potentially their consciousness merges into one. He says this could redefine human history. He hesitates and says, if it occurred naturally. He looks at Yuta. Back on Moon Moon, Renault draws his sword on Raimel. She says that the Light Tribe vanquished darkness, but the Licht family has been a mediator of the darkness since then. They have kept this a secret for so long. She looks at Renault and realizes that he hasn't even told Sarasa. He hasn't confided in anyone. Sarasa tells Raimel to speak up. Renault says, are you sure about that? Sarasa is tired of being left in the dark. Tonight, under the moon, Raimel will speak of what she has been hiding for so long. She holds up 2 leaves and wonders if she recognizes what it is. Nilda Licht is panicking and riding off on horseback in the rain. Nanai continues reading Char's intel. The vegetation thriving on Moon Moon deviates from the Bernal Project's guidelines. This variant on Moon Moon only yields 1 kilo of product per 1 ton of harvested material. However, this is 10 10 times more efficient on Moon, so much so that it is considered dangerous doses. At this level, it is simply a narcotic that can be abused. The closest relative to this plant is the coca leaf, which is now extinct on Earth. Char wants to know of Moon's origins from the mouth of Yuta. He goes on and tells the story we heard many times, that there are two tribes, the Light Tribe and the Tribe of Arts. The Light Tribe lived in harmony with the colony, while Arts focused on potions. Raymel tells the truth. She says that two tribes were once one. What made their utopia work were the leaves. Sarasa says they are called poison smoke leaves. The manga shows Nilda licked. During this entire manga, she has been low energy and docile. This bitch has been getting high the whole time. These trees are everywhere on Moon, and they need to be burned seasonally. Arts planted the trees, and the duty falls on Arts. However, people on the outside will pay a pretty penny for them. So they started brokering an exchange with a contact called Medicine, who brought supplies to the colony in exchange for poison smoke leaves. The founding fathers also weren't trying to protect their hippie commune. The people of Arts had a purpose from the beginning. They wanted to take humanity to the next stage as humanity entered the universal century. We cut back to Luce, who is continuing the story. Right now, Nanai is reading the intel, Yuta is telling Char, Luce is telling Neo Zeon, and Raymel is telling the Light Tribe, and we as the reader learn a little bit from each perspective. Luce refers to it as high-grade cocaine called Hycoca. Can I try some Hycoca? The man who became the leader of Arts was a medical school dropout turned hippie. He originally produced Hycoca. Later, he would split off from the Light Tribe and declare himself king. He did this based off of the foundation that is, essentially, new type theory. This happened decades before Daikum's proposal. Yuta tells Char that Arts used an elixir to sever the body from the soul, which should reconnect to the Great Source. But it was a one-way journey, a mass suicide. Some zealots even poisoned the water supply. This led to the division that caused the Civil War. Also because of the bad paneling on the colony, half of the people befall to a congenital disease. The Light Tribe abandons these children, and the people of Arts take them in. Alfonso tells Renault to kill Raymel, but she tells him to be silent and calls him father. The people of the Light Tribe gasp. Raymel laughs at the people of the Light Tribe and calls them hypocrites. Their entire foundation is built off of a vice. This is all drug money. They are the reason they can live in their so-called utopia. Char fills in the gaps in the story that Yuta didn't know. His whole world turns upside down. Sarasa looks at Renault and asks him if this is all true. He is silent. Sarasa doesn't care. From this day forward, the two will bear the burdens together. Raymel laughs and says that Sarasa is worthy of being her wife. She shows her face for the first time in the manga. The Light Tribe realizes that she is a woman. Char tells Yuta that he shouldn't feel like he should bear the burdens of something that happened generations ago, but he says that their burdens are inside of him. No one should put anything inside of a young child. Luce tells Neo Zeon that it isn't the drug that caused him to invade this colony. It was the people. Poisoning the water supply was never supposed to lead to mass suicide. The components in Hycoca is also used in cyber new type upgrades. It creates a trance-like state which allows emotional receptivity, creativity, and empathy. All the things a new type senses. A state which allows one to see God. This vision or interaction, whatever you want to call it, frees them from the physical. This was Art's true goal. They essentially wanted to turn everyone on Moon into new types. Even isolated from the outside world, they were thinking of new type theory and tried to artificially induce it. Modern-day universal century theorists believe that new types are realized through great emotional loss of the physical body. Even though the Light Tribe stopped Arts, there is still an abundance of Hycoca. It rains, the plants become mush and compost, and eventually grow anew. It's in the soil. Through generations, it is possible that Arts' plan has come true. High levels of Betnar are in Yuta's bloodstream. Over a century of exposure to this, it seems that his generation has higher levels of the previous generations. Char says, in other words, Yuta is not a real new type. He is a cyber new type. Ha! Now you know how Gune feels. Char probably says that to Gune every night before he goes to bed. Remember, you're not a new type. I made you. He tells Minerva that there are traces in her as well, which was most likely caused by the two's new type fusion. That was artificially induced as well, and will fade soon. Char wants to keep a close eye on Yuta. He doesn't want Yuta to go full Agos. On Moon, Raymel wonders where their mother is currently. She tells them all that Nilda is an addict who is constantly smoking that poison smoke leaf. Raymel says that the high coca prevented her from taking her own life. She wonders what would leave her in such a despair in the first place. Nilda rides off while thinking of the past. She marries into the Licht family and bears Alfonso's children. But something is wrong with the child. Camillo, the butler, takes the baby to the forest of abandoned children, but Nilda saw that he took the baby. He meets with the previous leader of Arts. He wants to give the child to the forest of abandoned children, but they decline. They don't want to bear the burden. The Licht family and Moon family have a marriage arrangement. It seems that the problem with Renault is that she was born female. Bearing a female can ruin Eld Moon's marriage agreement and cause Nilda to be cast out. I'm still not completely sure why though. But the abandoned children have families on their own, and some aren't burdened with a congenital disease. One such child was recently born. The children born without congenital diseases become the leaders of arts. Their plan is to switch the children. This is why Renault has the marking of arts. When Camilla returns with the new baby, Nilda can sense that he did something and rejects Renault. She doesn't want this child. Raymel is the real Renault. Renault spent his whole life wondering why his mother never truly loved him. It was because she knew he wasn't her blood. They have been swapped for too long. It is time for them to switch back. Renault slices through Raymel's cloak to reveal that she is wearing armor. She rips off Renault's clothes to reveal his marking of arts. She is the rightful leader of the Licht family. Since Neozeon made their appearance, the Licht family failed at protecting the Light Tribe and created this war. Nilda continues riding in the rain when her horse trips. She falls off and gets impaled onto a tree. Well, don't get high and ride horseback, I guess. Also, where was she going? Was she gonna warn everyone, or was she running away? I guess we'll never know. Raymel tells her people to take Renault back to the forest. He says that the past doesn't matter, and all that matters is that he fought for the people of the light. He reaches his hand out to Sarasa, but she doesn't reach back. Raymel wants the people to work with Neozeon, but that is when the people turn on her. They begin yelling and screaming, saying they could create a band of warriors without the Licht family. This moment kind of shows that the Licht family used their army and force to maintain their power, but I really never got that in the reading until now. Sure, they had an army, but they never really used it in a forceful way. It was always just them using their secrets to get by. Raymel snaps her fingers. An explosion goes off at the temple. Ilya and the Zaku 4 and the 3D team in the Gigazam comes in. Neozeon breaks up the party and everyone begins to scatter. I guess the ceasefire is over. Sarasa tries to run off to Renault, but she has to be reminded that he isn't the real Renault. He is Raymel. And that will do it for this episode. It seems like we are moving into the final act of this manga as all of the pieces are in place, as Luce puts it. It is kind of crazy that hippies accidentally created both new type theory and cyber new types before the outside world. Parallel thinking is bound to happen. Although Haikoka is a narcotic, they are making it like it is a psychedelic. They don't seem to understand drugs, but that's fine. Next time. Oh, there is no next time. We are all caught up in Mobile Suit Moon Gundam. It does suck that we will most likely have to wait half a year to get another episode, but I imagine this manga will be wrapped up very soon. And by soon, I mean in the next 2 years probably. But that will do it for now, new types. Remember to take Haikoka in small doses. Peace.